then I want to go to my thing and make it visible because it ain't visible right now. There we go. All right. It's public. And we're gonna cut that on. Yes, sir. Let's cut that on. All right, so we live right now, just FYI. All right. They gonna be here right now. All right, bet. So I would definitely like for you to introduce yourself. You want to, you could tell people give a little bit of your background real quick and introduce yourself. But we got Darwin here.
Appreciate it. Oh, my bad. I'll take it from.
No, you good, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Darwin McPherson. Some of y'all might know me as Bruiser. I'm a military veteran, retired, bachelor's degree in computer science. Worked in software development for a little bit. Played basketball in college, all that other stuff. I'm married, got 2 beautiful children, nice. And certified image consultant. I came in the YouTube space for style at first. Then I kind of pivoted into the relationship conversation because I always find myself in discussions about these topics, largely because people were
like naturally.
Yeah,
like naturally.
Yeah, because people are trying to figure out, okay, how were you able to be married and have your kids within wedlock and do everything right? Like, did you make any mistakes? I told him I've made mistakes, but I didn't make
the big ones,
the big mistakes that everybody tend to make. So I was able to articulate it very well and consistently. I was always asking. I was like, man, won't you give me some advice? I'm like, well, maybe I should come to these conversations and start talking. And then I start coming into the conversations. Then I start developing a liking to it, the conversations. And I felt like maybe I can add something to the space that somebody can get some type of value from it. So that's how I wound up on YouTube.
That's dope. Would you say that like what's the, I guess my question would be like, what's the number one, or it don't have to be number one. I guess it's tough because I know I get like a bunch of questions, you know what I'm saying? There's probably not one I could think of, but what's like a couple of the main questions that the dudes be coming at you with, like as far as like what leads to your success, or whatever the case may be? What kind of questions do they be asking you?
Well, most of the guys, I would say 90% of the guys are struggling to get the outcomes they want out of dating and relationships. And those questions are aligned with, okay, how do I stop getting rejected? How do I, how can I demand the respect that I think or feel I deserve in a relationship? I feel like I'm always being manipulated or disrespected. How can I get this specific archetype of women? Like, what do I got to do? Like, is there any improvements I can make to be able to qualify for these type of women? Those are most of the time the questions. But when I have private one-on-one conversations, I would say 70 to 80% of those is men having issues in the relationship that they are already in. And they're trying to figure out how to keep it together or either walk away in some of these cases.
Okay. So they're trying to figure out how to navigate the relationship they're already in. And what are their like number one, or not number one, but what are some of the reasons why they feel like the relationships aren't working?
Reason why they feel like the relationship isn't working, I think that's the reason why they came to me, to try to figure that out. But the issue that they had was along the lines of lack of, I don't know if I can say the word on it. This ain't TikTok. Sexual intimacy. Sexual intimacy after some time. After some years of being together, it kind of fades off, or it's kind of used as a way to correct or police or manipulate, so to speak. these are the conversations we're having, like when women are
Like the
withholding
women
it.
are manipulating the men with sex,
Well, they like to call it that.
or not giving them sex. I should say, not with the
Yeah,
sex, but giving them
they're
sex.
withholding it. They don't. The understanding is that women need to want you to continue to want you, and there's a growing number of women that don't necessarily subscribe to the traditional way of being sexually available to the man, even if it's their husband. So men are trying to deal with this new era of or mentality that women are embracing, that they no longer need to do that because they can go out and make a living on their own. You know what I'm saying? They can be on their own and they don't have to deal with the stress of that. So they don't usually submit. You know, there's conditions on it these days.
So, I mean, based on that, though, it sounds like that you understand that it's not that women used to be available, like they had to be available for the men before, right? But there was like a punishment or negative repercussions for them, and then also to add to that, the women back in the day didn't have as many protections as they do now, so the husbands could literally just rape them. If you're married, it wasn't considered rape in the 80s, in the 70s, and even in the early 90s. Up until the early 90s, it was not considered rape if you just took it from your wife. So is it that women have changed, or is it that men haven't changed?
Well, if you're speaking to that specific extreme, or one may not think that it's extreme depending on your own reality and what information or data that you're exposed to. I would say that in the case where it's sexual abuse, then it's really the laws are changing. The women are getting they're getting caught up with the times, and they're like, hey, look, okay, so now we're protected. We don't have to
Mhm.
put up with this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm not gonna sit here and stand for this. Versus before those laws, and
Yeah.
I don't know what particular era you're speaking to or what time, but yeah,
Well,
if men were doing that, then yeah,
yeah.
if men knew it's an exploit for
Yeah.
sure.
Prior to 1994, because that was when the law came into place. Like federally, they wrote that law into place to protect women. So prior to 1994, it wasn't considered rape in
What is
America.
the
If
law called? Because I might have to study up on that.
Yeah, so there was an act. It was called it was in a bill. It was called uh, I can't remember. I'll look it up right now.
Yeah,
It's called
it's cool.
protect the damn man. Hold on. Marital right.
And I'm pretty sure it's maybe layers to it, because one maybe argue that just leaning over and saying, hey, I want to have sex, and she said, no, I'm tired, come on, and keep pushing and pushing, that can be seen as maybe in line with rape, even if she give
No,
in because she didn't initially consent.
no. I mean, it was. I think it's deeper than that. I mean, coercion could be considered a form of rape, no doubt about it. But I don't think it was that. I mean, men were literally like raping their wives. Donald Trump specifically, he's one of them. He was his ex wife. His ex wife was under oath, and she said it under oath that he raped her repeatedly when they were married. So I have no reason
How did
to
that
not.
play out legally?
It wasn't in a criminal. It was in a civil case,
So
but
this
she
is
was suing
alleged.
him that it happened or that she said it. It's not alleged that she said it.
So how was it confirmed or put on the
It
record?
wasn't. No. Well, she won the civil suit. So I would think that it was
Oh,
confirmed by
so
her win.
she sued for him and he settled. Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
yeah. So she sued him. That wasn't the reason why she sued. That was
Oh, okay.
it was in there. It wasn't like, yeah, but that was like a part of it to get, whatever. I forget the exact reason, but it wasn't for her being raped during their marriage.
The only
So yeah, I
reason why I'm
mean,
asking because I never heard it. I mean, I've heard Trump. You know, people say a lot of things about him, but I never really heard that particular thing being on the record as something that she won over in court.
yeah, she won. She won, and she sued him. She won.
What was
And
the main thing? Like, what was the headline? Was it?
it was. I think she was suing him. It was for money. It was like it might have been like spouse. It had to do something when they were married. It was like something that happened when they were married. And
So she led with the money, but the sexual assault was like a sub complaint.
well,
It wasn't
yeah,
like the primary.
if you were married to a person and this person is not trying to pay you, right?
Right.
Then when you go to court, you're going to present like you're suing them for like pain and suffering and you know what I mean, and everything. That's a part of it. It's like, well, why should we award you this money? And she's like, not only did I do, you know, this and that, not only were we married and this and that, he was raping me repeatedly while we were pregnant. And she said that, like I said, under oath in court. She was like, hey, this motherfucker was raping me. So yeah, I have no reason not to believe her. I don't know why, you know.
I don't have no reason not to believe her either. I'm just saying, like, I guess I'm just trying to confirm whether once he left the stoop of the court or left the stairway of the court, he walked away with a conviction of.
No. It wasn't criminal. It wasn't criminal. And the bill it was called the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act of 1994. That was what the bill was called. Unlawful sexual intercourse outside the bond of marriage. The act marked a pivotal moment in the legal recognition of marital rape as a crime, allowing for the prosecution of husbands for raping their wives. So it was specifically about men raping wives, not the other way around, because I know everybody likes to do the whole it goes both ways, and women do this. They don't. Women aren't raping their husbands, but husbands were raping their wives. So they put it in a protection legally for women, and it got passed in 1994. We both were kids in 1994. You know what I'm saying? So we was growing up. It wasn't that long ago that women just that recently, right? 31 years ago, women just recently got the right to call the police to protect themselves from being raped by their husbands. So again, it seems like it's not that women have changed so much, even though I think, you know, I'm sure women have, but it's not so much. I think, let me put it like this. I don't think women have evolved that much. And that's no knock to women. I think women have been pretty consistent over the years. I don't think women in the last 50 years have evolved that much. I think what we're seeing, though, is women like excelling, and we think like, oh, they're evolving, but they've always been like this. They just weren't allowed to be who they were. And now they have more protections. So they're allowed to be who they are more. I think women always been very smart. I think women always been interested in higher education. I think women always hated, you know, to be with men who didn't love them and didn't respect them. I don't think any of this is new. I don't think they've evolved. I don't think 60 years ago, women were okay with men not loving them and with men not respecting them. I think they hated it just as much 60 years ago as they do today. The only difference is today they have the choice, or at least, you know, on paper, they can say, hey, I don't want to be with this man. I don't want to have to deal with the man. I don't want to have to, you know, have a husband so I can own property or get my tubes tied, you know, whatever the case may be. I want to have autonomy.
Yeah, you can see the difference between different types and different groups of women now versus back then. One would think all women were the same. They wanted the same thing. They wanted the same outcomes because there were so many restrictions preventing your mind from thinking about all the other things that they potentially want. Like some women didn't want to be wives. Some of them don't want to be mothers. And we found that out in this era, that you actually have groups of women that does not subscribe to divine order, religion, marriage, period. Some want to be sexually liberated. Some want to be my body, my choice. They want to do whatever they want with their body, monetize it. We have when you release all of the restrictions and get whatever obstacles that's keeping people from making their own decisions and doing what they want, you could see a society for them. You could see people for who they really are individually and what they actually desire.
Who do you think women really are based on what you've seen?
Who I think women really are?
Mm.
Well, that's a general statement, but I think it comes down to the individual. I think
Mhm.
I don't really think you can put a blanket on all women. I mean, we know that today. You know,
Well, generally, I don't speak in absolutes either, but generally, though, I do think that most men and women fall within certain categories because of the
well,
way
yeah, it's
socialization
the
works.
same thing with men. Like most, you got men that don't want to subscribe to being married. They don't
Yeah.
want to. It's the same on both sides, and we're able to see that, and that's why I've been able to flourish in my work is because I don't push my principles or standards that I believe. You know what I'm
You
saying?
don't?
Not
You don't
on,
think
not
you
on,
do?
not onto clients. No, hell no. My whole game plan when somebody books a consultation with me is to figure out, okay, what is the desired outcome? How can I help this person get there with the shortest path of least resistance? If they ask me, wow, what would you do? Then that changes everything because then now I've been invited to push my principal status into it. But unless I'm invited, I typically don't do that. Unless somebody say, "What would you do?" Or they would say, "I believe in Islam," or "I believe in Christianity." Then I can kind of hold them to the standards and principles that they believe in, and show them and curate that path with those customs or those traditions. You get what I'm saying? Because not everybody might be religious. So who am I to try to push something on somebody that they don't even subscribe to? But regardless of what they subscribe to, the outcome is going to be the outcome. And if you just work on the outcome, what is the probability of you getting there from what you're currently doing? Is it working or is it failing?
How do you respond to men when they say that their wife's not sleeping with them anymore? What are you telling them?
Well, then I have to peel back the layers because it's too vague. You know what I'm saying? It's not enough context. So I have this method, so to speak. It is not something I made up. It's just common sense. I ask a bunch of whys after why after why what after what until I get to a point to where I get pinpointed. Because not everybody want to expose the real reason why they're not getting sex. Some of these guys are not getting sex because they let themselves go. Some of these guys are not getting sex because they're not emotionally connected with their wives. They're neglecting their wives. They're cheating on their wives, and she remembers that, and it's hard for her to get over that. They're
Can
not spending any time, and then it could be the other side. Some of the wives are in an affair with another man, and she's sexually exhausted. She don't really have time to give it to her husband, or it could be medical reasons. You
that
have
yeah.
menopause. You
Mhm.
have some of these women are going through this, and a lot of these guys don't really understand the other side to it. So you gotta get them. It always works better when you can get both of them in, but it's really difficult to get both to come in and talk
Yeah.
because then now you can see the other side of the story that they're withholding. Like I can't tell you how
Yeah.
many times I've talked to a guy and he was like, "Yeah, she's not sleeping with me. I don't know why, man. I've been paying all the bills, and she sit at home, she don't do nothing. I spoil her." But then
And you
whenever
talk, and you
I
talk to
got
the
lucky to
woman.
have the woman come in and find
Yeah.
out he was cheating for 4
Yeah.
years while she had his first two kids and stuff, and
Yeah.
she's kind of disgusted of him, like
And
she's
he
no
never,
longer.
and even though they reconciled, he never like made her. He never truly showed contrition. He never really showed that he was
No,
was sad,
actually,
or you know
actually,
what I mean?
shockingly, the man did the work. He did the work. He got himself straight. He changed his behavior. He went and got, what do you want to call it, healed. It's just it's I guess it's not realistic to expect a woman to be able to just move on, even if she go to therapy or even if she try to make it work. This is the risk you take. Uh, that potentially that
I,
is just not
I
just
don't
going.
think
Some people just not going to move on.
I know, but I don't think that's common. If that
I
was
don't
the
think it's
case,
common either, but
I don't think that's common that a woman will take a man back for cheating and then he actually does the work and really shows her like, hey, it really was a mistake. You know what I mean? Like, and takes his medicine, that she's like, nah, I just can't get over, because she would just leave him at that point. You know what I'm saying? Usually, but I don't know. I was gonna ask you.
let me help you with this. In this particular case, and I can't name names for confidentiality.
I would never ask you.
This woman said out her in the consultation that if she had her own money, she would have been left.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They'd be financially trapped.
I could argue that, let's say she was in the relationship 50-50, or she had her own, she was storing money away. Or in the future, if she ever get to the point where she can make enough money, where she gonna do it, or she find another guy. I wholeheartedly believe that it's only a matter of time for that relationship fail. I was never able to get them to resolve this. She was willing to be there for the kids and all this other stuff, but they didn't say it. But I can sense it. Yeah, this is not going to work out. This is going to be another failed marriage.
Well, I mean, he destroyed it when he cheated.
He destroyed it, and I tried to tell him. And he kept saying that, well, are we supposed to forgive each other? I'm like, no. I mean, I get it, your religion or whatever, but you got to understand, you have to be a man of your word. Some of these guys I talk to, and it's not this particular couple, but there's a lot of guys that are becoming not monogamous or polygamous. And they're not really being upfront with a woman. I'm like, maybe if you be upfront and you could save both of y'all heartache and pain in the future. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You should tell her, hey, look, I'm going to be with multiple women at any given time. I don't know when. And then just let her make a decision whether she want to deal with that. Because if you're holding that back and then you telling her you're going to be faithful and I'm the only one for you and I'm monogamous, but then you get her into the relationship and then you start cheating. You can't use the Bible saying that you can have multiple wives. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gave her your word. You gave her your word that that's not what you're going to do. And then you're going to say, my safety net, as the Bible said I could do it, as if I slip up, you know what I'm saying? I got that. It just don't work like that.
But that's a reason why a lot of people don't mess with the Bible. I mean, yeah, like for me, I've been already got off of being religious 20 years ago, but even like now more than ever, I believe that the Bible was written for men by men. I don't think it has anything to do. I think it was written to control women via telling men this is how you control women, and it justifies the control and the manipulation and domination of women and children and whatever else. And a lot of people agree with that, and I think that's why it turns them off so much about the Bible. But I got one more question for you before I move on to the prompt, I guess, or the topic. When can a woman use sex to manipulate a man? Like, is that even possible? How is a woman not sleeping with a man? Is that ever considered abuse?
Well, it all depends on what you subscribe to. If you're a man of a specific religion, then the woman, according to submission, things like the terms like that in the Word of God, a woman's body belongs to her husband, a man's body belongs to his wife. So depriving each other is deemed sinful, according to those scriptures. So it all depends on what you subscribe to.
I know, but is it abusive though? Because it could be sinful, but that don't mean it's abusive.
It is abusive to withhold it?
Yeah. How is withholding sex abusive if it is abusive?
No, I wouldn't call it abusive. I would just call it, I would say it initiates sexual immorality. Some would say whatever initiates it can be lumped into it. And when I say that, sexual immorality don't just start at.
Hold on, wait. You said withholding sex initiates sexual immorality?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that it could be the catalyst for it to start. So we know we can both agree that sexual immorality or cheating doesn't start at penetration. It actually is steps that leads up to it, and the steps could be, well, number one, undisciplined. You don't know how to fend off the temptation for your desires.
So that's on the person. Okay,
that's one of them. The other one could be deprived.
Isn't that the only one?
You could say that. You could argue that, but there's always an input and output in math. There's a cause and effect. if you deprive somebody of hunger, one could argue that that person at some point is going to reach a point to where he's going to want to go and steal. But he
But
might not be a thief initially. He's a
yeah,
thief contingent upon the lack thereof. And that could
but
be
but
food.
but food is a necessity though, and we
Right.
all need to eat. So I understand that, right?
So
Like water, like food, but sex
what
isn't a necessity, right?
well, like, okay, so if you don't believe sex is a necessity, then that don't apply.
I mean, it's
But
not a necessity.
so
It
you don't
ain't
think
that I
it's
don't believe it. It's literally not a necessity. You don't need it to live. You don't need it to survive. You don't need it to
I
thrive.
would argue against it. I would argue that sex, reproduction, all of those things and that
Thanks,
falls
Fred.
under sex is necessary for the I don't know I was going to use evolution, but not evolution, but sex is necessary for
For
biological reproduction.
okay, but for the person,
Up
Mhm.
until I'll grant you the argument, up until technology came to where now a person can just ejaculate into a bottle
yeah,
and a woman's
but not.
eggs can be well, yeah.
But you don't. What I'm saying, Darwin, is you don't need to have children. That's not a need. You can have kids. You can want to have kids. You can even have a strong desire to have kids, but you don't need to have children. So
Yeah.
if you
If you
look
look
at it from a
at it, if you
reproductive
look at it
standpoint, it
as
wouldn't be
yeah, if you look at
necessary.
it as individual, a part of a mass of a population, then yeah, argument is
I'm just
true.
talking about you. I'm saying
But
me,
let's
you.
just
You know,
say
I'm talking about us individually as people. Do we need sex for survival individually? And the answer is no. Obviously, so
I would argue that somebody out of all of us has to be having sex in order for survival of the entire human race.
again, I'm not talking about procreation aside from procreation, because the vast majority of the sex that I have has nothing to do with procreation. I don't
Right.
want to have a baby when you know what I'm saying? I don't want to have a kid ever again, but I plan on having sex tonight. You see what I'm saying? Them two totally different things. So it
I
ain't about
understand.
procreation. I'm
I
done.
understand, but I will say, and I haven't tapped into this because it's not really my lane, biology so much. But
Mhm.
I have read in some cases that I would have to try to pull it up and get it to you at a later time. That and I know we said sex, we didn't say ejaculation, but I would say I would say biologically a man needs to release at some point.
I think it's healthy. Mhm.
Yeah.
But you can do that
So
with Pamela and Fistina.
well,
You know what
yeah.
I'm
So
saying?
now you're making my case. So we
Yeah.
did use sex. So ejaculation is necessary, maybe not sex. A man can
Yeah.
go his whole life ejaculating and be just fine.
Mhm.
But if the
Yeah.
goal, I think if the goal and the desire is to build a legacy, then you could argue that it is necessary. Unless you
Yeah.
have some other man come in there and build it for you.
But kids don't have anything to do with your legacy, though. That's
How
your
would you
lineage.
explain that?
Kids are your lineage, not your legacy.
Okay. So
Those are two
how
different
would
things.
you explain that?
Because a legacy is like things that you leave behind, like property, like money, things of that nature. Kids are lineage. So if you like your legacy, your legacy when you talk about kids, like my legacy with my sons, I'm hoping is that when I'm dead and gone, they'll be like, my dad was great. Like for me, like my dad did me right. He, like that's my legacy. The things that I did, my actions, and then my kids will, tell my grandsons and granddaughters what I did. And my great, because like for an example, my granddaddy just died, right? 93, 94 years old. Um, I never talked to him. The only conversation I had with that man that I can remember, it was at my granny's funeral 15, 16 years ago. I was so, and you know what I mean? It's like, so I'm in my 30s or whatever the case may be, 20s or whatever, late 20s. That was the first time I ever talked to my granddaddy. His legacy for me is non-existent. He doesn't have well, honestly, it's beyond that. His legacy for me is I tell my son, my granddaddy wasn't shit because he abandoned my grandmama. He moved across town, married another woman. You know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff, and left
It
his
has
six children.
it's a bad legacy.
Yeah, he has a bad from my perspective, he has a terrible legacy.
So you could argue. So one could argue that it could be something that you remember for,
I mean that's a part of it. It's your actions. It's what you. Yeah, definitely that's your
and
legacy.
that's
But
carried on through. Probably the ones that shows any interest in bringing up your name is probably going to be your lineage, right? Unless they had an impact on society, like a LeBron James or something. We don't need
Well,
his kids to bring him up 40 years ago. We got all the accolades all over the place. So
no, but you have an impact on society. You have a legacy right now. Whether it's good or bad is whatever, but you have a legacy right now, right? Like publicly, I'm saying you have a public legacy. You have a massive footprint. You have tons of viewers and views and stuff like that. So you have a legacy established right now. Even if you stop today, you still have a ton of stuff that you've done publicly. And that's what you're like, a part of your legacy is going to be what you're, a part of what you're going to be remembered is by that footprint. Same thing with me. I have a legacy, a public legacy or whatever. So I'm hoping that when my children or when my children's children, when my sons or whatever, when they get older and they have kids or whatever happens, that they can look back on my legacy and look back on the work I've done and not be embarrassed. And I'll be like, damn, dad was cringy. Damn, dad had it wrong. Damn, dad, you know what I mean? Like I want them to look back on it and be like, that's why I love my pops. Because he was always on the right side of stuff. He was always trying to help, you know what I mean? Like that's my legacy. Though my son is not my legacy. My kids are not they are their own human beings. You know what I'm saying? I raised them to be autonomous human beings, to be as free as they possibly could be. And they're kids and they got freedom, right? So let alone when they become adults. I'm here to guide them. I'm here to provide for them, protect them, whatever the case may be. But I'm not here to like live vicariously through them. And I'm not here to for them to further my name or whatever, or my legacy or whatever, because what if good or bad, they're going to further my legacy though. That's the point. Good or bad, right? They're going to push it. They're going to tell their kids, they're going to tell everybody they knows. But that's the reality. I'm not, and me personally, I'll be honest with you. I'm more about the impact that I have on my children today than I am worried about what they think about me after I'm dead and gone. You know what I'm saying? I'm way more concerned with how they feel about me right now in this moment than 50 years from now, 30 years or 20 years from now.
I'm the same way. I feel like what I want and what I really want to is be able to be rest assured that, both of my sons are looking at me as something or someone that they would want to be like.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember when I was growing up, I didn't want to be like, the guys that was in my family, for the most part. Some of those guys were pieces of shit. So I was looked at the guy that I was inspired by my best friend's father. That's why I went to the military, because his father was in the military. But, I can see the jealousy as a father, like, damn, my sons don't want to be like me. Oh, what did I do wrong? Like, so I'm just trying to make sure I can check all the boxes and just be as outstanding as I can for my sons to be like, yeah, I want to be like my dad. When they go to school and they ask, what's the question the teacher asks, what he would even be when you grow up? I want to be like my dad. That'd be fascinating.
That's what you want them to say. I don't want my babies to say shit. I want my babies thinking way bigger than me. But yeah, I don't want them to. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just think like how I view people and children, because like we talk about this all the time with my son. I was just talking to my son about this, I want to say last night or night before, one or whatever. We eat dinner every night. But anyways, we were at the table, and like me personally, as far as like character is concerned, I want my son to be like his mother. Her character is of the highest order. She has upstanding character, right? She has been very inspirational for me to become the best version of myself, because I'm in a relationship with the person that is the best version. Like, she's the best version of herself. So I'm like, damn, okay. I need to get my stuff together so I can match, so I can be on her level or whatever. So I'm telling my son, like anytime he says something about his mom, like positive or whatever, always like reinforce it. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. Like, your mom is great. Your mom is, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, no, I want to be like mom because she did it. I'd be like, yeah, be like your mama. Definitely listen to you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really big on that. Especially now with him, because he's really young. And I'm always pushing that. But, I'm his dad. Obviously, he be wanting to be like, oh, I want to do YouTube, dad. I want to be,
would you be concerned if your son turned out to be like you?
In certain ways, yeah, I would be extremely concerned, because me and my son, how we grew up is so different. It's so different. Like, I grew up in poverty. I grew up, you know what I'm saying? I grew up neglected. I grew up in the streets. I grew up I didn't have much help. I didn't have much guidance. Yeah, I grew up in a very abusive household. I mean, beyond that, I grew up in an abusive environment. Everybody was abusive. Like even my friends were like, we were abusive to one another. You know what I'm saying? And I've had to do a lot of work on unpacking that. And so, yeah, I would be concerned if my son was like wanting to be like me outside of like little, like I pick and choose what you like or whatever, but I'm more interested in him being, I want him to be himself. I want him to be the best. I want, you know what I mean? Like he could pick a little bit from me and take some from his mama and whatever and be your own person. But I'm really concerned about him being his own person.
Sounds like you've been, well, if I was looking at it from the outside, and I am looking at it from the outside anyway, is it safe to say that the abuse that you endured when you were younger shaped you into the type of content creator you are today?
I would say, I mean, of course it plays a role, but in all honesty, not really, because I mean, I don't know. It goes both ways because I grew up very much misogynistic. I grew up very much sexist, very much homophobic, very much abusive. Again, due to my environment, due to the things that I learned and I never learned, or whatever you want to say. Lying, gaslighting to women specifically, fighting with my friend, you know what I mean? Just stuff. I did stuff, you know what I'm saying? I did shit. I did shit I shouldn't have been doing, right? And my grandfather, on both sides, my grandmother, my father, my mother, you know what I mean? My brother. I have a lot of examples of people in my life and representations of like toxic human beings. I'm not saying all those people were toxic, but I'm saying like I have a ton of representations of toxic human beings, right? And now what happened is once I got into this space, prior to this, I used to make excuses for men all the time. I made a ton of excuses for fathers that abandoned their children. I made a ton of excuses for fathers that weren't present. I made a ton of excuses for husbands that weren't present with their wives and boyfriends that weren't present with their girlfriends and cheaters and whatever it was, right? I made a ton of excuses for men. I always gave men a pass. And that is because of how I grew up. Once I started to unpack that, that is when I stopped doing that for men. That is when I stopped making those excuses for men. And then what happened was all those examples that led me to make excuses for men became the examples that basically proved all the things that like I was learning about men to be true, right? Like when women would say the daddies don't be showing up, right? Before I would make excuses for that, but then I look back and I was like, why? If fathers were actually showing up, why would you have to make excuses for all these fathers? There was a bunch of fathers that didn't show up. My uncle didn't show up. My daddy didn't show up. My brother daddy didn't show up. None of my homies had daddies in the hood. None of them had uncles that showed up. None of the older dudes in the hood came and took care. Like these are my personal experiences. So instead of me now, the only difference is instead of me making excuses like I used to do for men, I just don't make excuses anymore for myself or for other men. I just go, okay, that was shitty. The way men act is terrible. We got to be better. The way men act, we're harmful. We're toxic. We could grow. Our culture is toxic. How men act, how we act towards kids, how we act towards women. So to your point, yeah, that I guess it shaped me, but I had to unlearn all of that shit. I've been fighting like hell to unpack it.
What does it sound like to make an excuse for a man that's not there for his kid? Like, how were you making that sound when you were making those excuses?
Oh, I would just be, well, me, when dudes weren't showing up for their kids, I don't even think I really made excuses for them in the moments. I think I used to just be more like indifferent. Like I wouldn't.
You was indifferent. You just wasn't.
I would never.
He probably was like, well, she probably was some shit. Or she probably
No, I wouldn't even say that. That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't even be that. It would be like for an example, I never clocked that my uncle had 5 kids and he wasn't with none of them. I never really, you know what I'm saying? Like my cousin, we all hung out. I knew all his sons. They all came over. We all kicked in and shit. Rest in peace to my cousin Lakeith. You know what I'm saying? We all kicked in and stuff like that. So I never, you know what I mean? Like I never judged him as a father. I never judged him as a father. I just gave him a pass. Because I mean, I was just like, yeah, niggas don't show up for their daddies, right?
How
But
old were
then
you? How old were you whenever you were
what?
given a pass?
Oh, my whole life until I had kids. So until probably
I
like
would
in my
I would
30s.
say I would say I was in your boat too. I was a victim of giving men passes for poor behavior too, because I would argue that reason why I was doing that is because I didn't know what the correct behavior is supposed to look like. So when I learned how to correct behavior, how a man's supposed to properly, morally carry himself,
Mhm.
that's when I lost a lot of friends. You know, that's when I started looking at it from a different lens. Like, okay, yeah, if you're gonna lay with a woman and have a kid with a woman, you should take care of your kid.
Yeah.
If you're gonna marry a woman, you should treat your wife right. You know what I'm saying? You should. So it took me to have some type of knowledge, and I don't think even today men and women are learning how to be wives and husbands to each other, to
Wait,
be able
what
to
does that
know.
mean? How
Oh,
aren't women? How don't women know how to be wives to me? Like, what does it
well,
mean to be a wife?
I said both of them. So
Yeah, I know. I'm
don't
saying,
try
but
to
what
make it
is
seem
it?
like, okay.
Well,
I'm just saying I don't think, and I'll just grant you that. Let's just speak to what you just pointed out. Women not
mhm,
knowing how to be a wife to her husband.
mhm.
I would say, let's just say that it's left up to them to go figure it out versus receiving how to do it from a working system or a woman who's flourishing at the position. You know, having the luxury of having someone pass down the decorum, you know, how you move, you know what I'm saying? How you operate as a woman in a marriage. I
But
don't
what
think
is
I
that?
don't think
But what does that look
well
like, though? That's what I'm
well
trying to say.
and that's subjective to the woman who's passing down the information. But if it was, let's just say it was my wife.
Mm-hmm.
If it was my wife passing down how to be a wife to my daughter, it
Mm-hmm.
would be, you know, her femininity, you know, her
Which is what?
elegance, how she carry herself, how she speak, her tone, um, you know, her encouragement for her husband, letting him know, hey, baby, you're doing a good job. I appreciate what you're doing. That's encouraging to men. It give us this energy boost of motivation to continue to go out and do the things that we need to do to make sure that our family continue to move forward. Uh, some would argue cooking, and I know some people are against it, but my wife liked to cook for me. We earn enough to have somebody come in here and cater, but
Mm-hmm.
we have an intimacy connection between the food she provide to me to eat. You know, it's a connection I couldn't get if somebody else came in here to do it.
I've
It's
heard men
another
say that before. I've heard men say, you're not the first man I heard say that before, and I always think that that's interesting. Like they
right.
would like I I think I could pay somebody to come in here. Could we I get meals sent to my house weekly anyway, whatever. But I could pay somebody to cook if I wanted to, but it would right now it wouldn't be economically feasible. It wouldn't make that much sense. You know what I'm saying? Like I haven't gotten to
Yeah,
that point
now
to where
trust me, I've been in a situation where that didn't make any sense economically at all.
yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying.
but
I
yeah,
can afford it. Me, what I'm saying is like just because I can pay for it doesn't mean that I can like it makes sense economically, right? I haven't gotten to that place. But if and when I get to that place, if my wife don't want to cook, I'm paying the chef. Like I
oh
don't,
yeah,
there's no, I
and
just like
that's
to eat.
yeah. My wife don't want to cook. She don't cook. There's no
Yeah.
question. There's no argument. I'm not the man that says I'm the man here to make a meal. Like, no, my wife does a
Mhm.
lot. Like, she wanted. One thing I don't do is the kitchen is hers. You know, the I got my little office. That's mine. She don't come in and mess with that. If she tell me to get the fuck out of the kitchen, anybody, kids, relatives, come over here. You best get your ass out the kitchen. Like you can't be in there. You can't be in her. She has a room where she goes and read. Like you
Mhm.
can't go in there unless if she don't want you in there, you don't go. it's just
But what
I
would you
allow my wife to create a space where she can go and, you know,
that's well and good.
decompress and
But you haven't defined the reason why I asked you what does it look like to be a wife? Because I think that
oh, I
women,
haven't finished. That's why. I mean,
yeah,
I
no,
just
but
got
you have,
hung
but
up.
I
I
want,
got hung up
yeah,
on the cooking.
no, you
Um,
good. But give me. So you said cooking, and you said be encouraging and be soft spoken, right?
yeah, be
So
cooperative is one of the most key
cooperation.
things. Is
Okay.
being able to work with each other. You know, we have a goal set, and we're pulling both of our energy toward completing that goal. And anything that get in the way of that is noise, and we try to block it out. Um, I would call myself a God fearing man, so a woman that's able to submit to me. Uh, I would think that my wife, man, I believe my wife will most definitely pass that down to our daughter. I don't have a daughter yet, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, sorry about that, my kids.
Very good.
You know what I mean?
I'm used to babies, man. Don't worry about it. My son loud as hell. Let me read these comments real quick, man. Beast Nation said, I was wondering when Pub will pop out again for a live. Take this bit of money and keep grinding. We know what you keep in the line. That's what's up, man. Appreciate you. Red, appreciate you. Red 2 Muse, I appreciate the support. Desi said he's no longer on topic. Let's get back to why a woman denying her husband's sex is immoral, unless he thinks a woman saying no is immoral. I'll ask that. Nisha said, this is all circling back to that big old book of anecdotes and contradictions, the Bible, a guide to submission. Right when she said that, he talked about submission. That was funny. And Deja said, being a wife isn't just one idea. A good wife to Pub may not be a good wife to Darwin, and vice versa. Yeah, I agree. Anastasia, appreciate you. New member. Shout out to the new member. Girl Nettle said, sorry, bald dude. Every movie / show from Disney to horror has taught women how to be a wife, while movies / shows teach men to slay dragons and be funny. That's facts. I think what I'm getting at is I don't think that women. I think women are awesome wives, right? I think generally speaking, we all want the same things in our partners, men or women, husbands or wives, right? And what I'm saying is I'm not saying these are the only things we want. I'm saying these are the primary things we want. We all want to be in a relationship with the person who has integrity. We all want to be in a relationship with the person who has patience, who is consistent, who is caring, who is nurturing. We all want to be in a relationship with the person who has charisma, right? Man or woman, whatever. There are certain things I think we all, when I say all, whatever, but the vast majority of people, I think that's what we want. I don't think that women lack general. There are women, of course, that lack in these fields, but I think in general, the average woman doesn't lack when you talk about that character, when you talk about, that type of individual. However, I do think men do. I do think right off the bat, most men lack integrity. I don't think most men have integrity, especially when it comes to relationships with women. I don't. How we function as men, even we can listen to the vernacular, listen to the terminology we use to describe our interactions with women. Game. We running game. What does that mean? That's the average man. We just talk, I'm running game, I'm spitting game, I was jibbing. Back in my day, we call it jibbing. It's always about some form of manipulation. Always. What's it called?
But you don't think it's necessary for men to run game?
No. I think the way that it's necessary is because most men, the average man does not qualify for the average woman. And thus, to get the average woman, the average man must run game. But here's the funniest thing about game. Oftentimes, depending on, the level of the game or oftentimes women see through that shit and they actually like you for who you are, but you still like men still like to put on this like persona or whatever, or this act, right? And a lot of times women, like, I don't know if you ever thought you was like the coolest motherfucker, right? And then you meet some woman and she think you goofy. Happens all the time. I knew it, like I always thought I was a cool motherfucker. That I'll meet a woman and she think I'm goofy. And she loves that about me. It's not like she was trying to like put me down. She just thought I was goofy. She just was like, you goofy, you silly. Da, 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 da. The whole time I'm thinking I'm serious and I'm thugging, and you know what I'm saying? She's like, you silly boy, you know. And she saw that side of me or whatever. She saw through the act. She saw through the persona that I was trying to put out there, right? A lot of times women see through that. I'm not necessarily talking about the direct lies that men tell. Like don't get it mixed up. I'm not saying that if a man says I don't have no babies and then come to find out he got 4 kids, like women see through that shit. That's crazy. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like oftentimes because of how perceptive women are, how much they pay attention to men, they actually see you for who you are. They actually see through a lot of that bullshit that men think that a lot of that armor that we got to put on, they'll see through it and they'll still like you. They'll still like you for whatever reason. They'll still like you, right? And men will lie when the truth will do. That's what I'm saying. I
think we know. I think we can pinpoint the reasons why women are still going to like you, even though you're putting on a facade, though, right?
Why? Why do you think?
Well, a lot of women, I mean, they would rather be told. I'm not going to say told a lie. They want to hear what they want to hear, and some men, not all, but some men have figured out what women want to hear, and they use it. You can call it manipulation. You can call it game. You can call it finesse. But if one has a desired outcome and the other has a desired outcome, and nothing else matters as long as they get the outcome. If you lie and still give me the outcome, we'll deal with the lie whenever we start to, when we cross the bridge.
And usually what we end up doing is just lying more, because once you tell a lie, you got to keep the lie going. So right. If you start off the relationship lying, you end up lying throughout the whole relationship. And most men start relationships off lying. And that's why I be saying most men lack integrity when it comes to dealing with women.
Well, I understand men lie, but unless you're able to bring some type of substantiation on most men start off lying, I don't know if I can agree to that. But I get your sentiment. Maybe your position is that.
You don't think most men lie? I mean, you don't think most men, and I'm not even saying.
No, I don't think it. And what I try not to do is, I mean, I do have my thoughts, obviously. You know, I reserve the right to think what I want. But typically, whenever I try to have these conversations in good faith, I try to lean on what actually is fact or close to it. But if we say most men lie, that sounds like something that we can quantify, or it's been studied, or some type of research to support it. But just going out on the whim saying most men lie to get in relationships is a stretch. You don't think?
No, I don't think it's a stretch, because we can look at the.
So would you say the other side? Would you say most women lie?
No, they don't have to. And there's no, and that's what I'm saying.
Men, you saying it because they don't have to, not that they don't lie. It's just off the strength that they don't have to.
Well, I mean,
they don't.
Yeah, I'm saying people lie for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like people lie. People are lying for whatever, even if the reason is invalid, right? Even if it doesn't, like I said, men will lie when the truth will do. Like you don't have to lie all the time. You don't have to, but oftentimes men do lie, right? Women, on the other hand, they don't have to, like a woman. Here's what I'm saying. Women could be sleeping with, I don't get caught up in it, even though I be on the internet. I don't live on the internet, right? I know in real life how men actually be functioning when it comes to women. I know online men be up here talking about, I don't want to be with no 304. I don't want to be with no promiscuous woman. That's cap. That's cap. So men will, a woman, a promiscuous woman could meet a man, tell that man, I'm not sleeping. I mean, I'm sleeping with whoever. I'm dating whoever, right? Like I ain't just dating you. We ain't exclusive. She could tell that man that. That man gonna go, I don't care, and still date her. A married woman could go to a man and say, I have no interest in us having any like romance or like long-term committed relationship. I literally just want to sleep with you. And that man will go, okay, I'll sign up for that. But when you flip that around, most of the time when men step out on their wives and step out on their girlfriends, they end up being in 2 or 3 full-blown fucking relationships with women. Because you're not that dude. You can't tell that woman you gotta look. Even if you tell that woman you got a wife, even if you tell that woman you got a girlfriend, you also telling that woman you hate your wife and you hate your girlfriend, and y'all gonna break up soon. And you just living in there, you just a roommate, you just waiting till she get her taxes back and she about to move out on the 6th. Like that be the shit men be telling women, even when they cheat. But if a woman want to cheat, she walking up to the next man on the street and be like, yo, I just want to get it in and we gonna leave it at like women don't have to lie to men to be in the company of men.
Is it safe? I mean, we have research now that support that women are not just we can see that men and women are moving different in those scenarios. Like women for the most part aren't just going up to men outside of the relationship. Just say, I just want to get bust down. More often than not, and I have to get the research to you too. Most of these women are actually looking for a replacement in those scenarios.
Oh no,
versus the opposite, men are actually looking for just a bust down. So yes. Women are actually looking to navigate from that relationship. They're not really just trying to go get bust down for the most part. But I would say if we're talking about if I agree, if it's a 304 or a promiscuous woman, yes, the man don't want to marry that. Will he date her? Well, you said date her.
But no, but that's a lot. That's what I'm saying. Again, even that is a lie. Men don't care. Men will marry a promiscuous woman. Promiscuous women get married all the time.
Yeah, but for the most part,
304, they get married all the time. They get married every day.
Right. For the most part, I haven't found any information or any compelling evidence that points that men are compelled to marry promiscuous women. They will sleep with them, but these guys are not on the hunt to go and wife them.
No.
Now I will say that.
Wait. You're missing what I'm saying. Okay. I'm not saying that the men are hunting for 304s. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if they just so happen to meet a woman who is promiscuous, right, and they know it's promiscuous, they don't care that woman is promiscuous. If that woman is fine enough, if that woman is friendly enough, if that woman is whatever you want to say, right, all their 3 Fs and whatever the hell, dudes don't care.
Right. I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. And I'll do even better. If it's a woman with a promiscuous history, whatever. But if she's cooperative, she's willing to submit, she's impressionable, she's young, she's got them fertility markers and all these things. I would say she is more appealing as somebody who you would want to take in versus a woman who is not those things. And again, it's subjective to the man and what he sees.
Wait, you're saying wait. I missed it. So you're saying that the women, that the women that aren't promiscuous, but with those markers are more appealing than the women that are promiscuous with those markers?
Well, I'm saying if the women have all the markers that, let's just say that you're looking for a woman.
Okay.
She got a stain on the wrist. She got a promiscuous history.
Okay.
But she's impressionable. She's young. She had the fertility markers. She's willing to cooperate. Oh. She's willing to get on your program and move forward with you. I would choose her over a woman who don't have the history that is uncooperative. She's arrogant. She does.
Okay.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Because I had an argument with somebody.
That's not a non-starter. You're saying that's not a non-starter. That's what I'm saying. That's not a non-starter. Them being a 304.
So more often than not, with the promiscuous past, a lot of other negative things are attached to that, deeming them incompatible to be a suitable wife in a relationship. And it's so many other different layers. It's so many different paths you can go down depending on the type of woman. And some women can hold themselves. Some women can get in and get out, put that shit behind them and move forward and create a family. But more often than not, it's really difficult to do that. You really have to be on top of your game, recalibrating your mindset, getting therapy, pushing away your trauma, and really putting away your past in order to find somebody who's wanting to deal with you. Because I had an argument with somebody on TikTok, and they were bashing single mothers. And I get this issue with single moms. I said it's not the single mom. It's not that she got a kid. It's the mentality she had. I mean,
which is what?
Well, I think the particular woman they were speaking about has a malicious mentality. She used to have this history or this pattern. She wants to do harm. And then there's other single mother, but she's not like that. So you can't put all of those women in the same boat. This single mother, she came out of a marriage. You know what I'm saying? She had a child. She's not the same as the one who just, got knocked up for being reckless on the streets and just running around scamming and doing all kind of crap. You can't just put both of those in the same box. One can still move forward and get a relationship just because she had. See, this notion that she got a kid. That ruins everything. Yeah, it comes with a chink, but it's what is she like? Like, can she still be suitable for marriage? And then you have to weigh in you got to weigh in her character. You can't just knock her because she got a kid. You got to weigh in her character. Can she be cooperative? You know what I'm saying? Are y'all compatible? What is her communication skills like? Do y'all have common values, goals? And then the kid is not a problem. Yeah, kid might be a liability. You got to take care of it. If you want to deal with it as a man, you got to be able to step up to the plate and take care of the kid. But you can't lump her in this. Just because she got a kid doesn't make her completely off the, out of the market as somebody is desirable. That's what I was just trying to argue.
There's a few things that was interesting about that, because one of them was you were talking about women that be out here scamming. It's like the percentage of women that are out here being malicious towards men is almost negligent, right? Like it's negligible. Not even worth even mentioning compared to married women, who are divorced. Those women are common. There's a ton of divorcees or whatever with kids. I think that's common in this country. And then globally, I would say it's common. But comparing them to women that are out here scamming and trying to harm men, it's just rare. Like it also is rare that a woman has a child out of wedlock and the child be born due to like the woman just being promiscuous, like just because she's sleeping around, she's not in a committed relationship with a man, she just got knocked up by some random dude. Like, I know we like to paint this picture of women like that, but that's statistically that's not common. What's common is being in a committed relationship, whether it be a marriage or just a committed relationship, and a baby comes out of that. You've been together 1 or 2 or 3 years, whatever the case may be. You living together, you cohabitate, and you get pregnant. That happens all the time. I don't know why people act like there aren't a ton of people having babies out of wedlock, quote unquote, intentionally. They are. I know people personally that was doing that. But real quick before I move on.
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
Let me read these. Red said, game equals lies, manipulation, humiliation. Nice try. Yeah, game is terrible. And Deja, men use game. Like I said, men, what we do is we just change the vernacular so to minimize the harm that men do. So we call it game as opposed to calling it what it really is: manipulation, lying. Right? We say it's game, so it sounds better. But men just be running around here manipulating. Women don't run game. That's not a colloquialism that women created. That came straight from men, right? So that's why.
Are you saying they haven't created game, or are you saying that women don't run game?
No. I'm saying that the group of people that overwhelmingly run game, quote unquote, and practice running game are men. Women, there are some women that do.
How do you know that? But, that's your opinion on it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I think that when we have these discussions, there's if we're talking scientific data, we could talk about the likelihood that a man is to lie versus a woman, which we know men lie more than women, and they lie for different reasons. We're talking about because we're having a discussion about integrity, right? Because lying is a part of integrity. We're talking about cheating. Men cheat more than women. Outside of marriages, men cheat twice as much as women do. Inside of marriages, they cheat, 5 or 6 or 7% more. If we're talking about the people that's most likely to steal, even in a relationship, I'm talking about like clean out the bank account, steal all the money, lock the person out, financially abuse, it would be men. Physical abuse would be men. Narcissistic abuse would be men. So that's what I'm saying. It's not like I'm just making this stuff up. Like it's just a feeling. But there's no like one study that's going to quantify all of this where you could be like,
so you're saying because men are scientifically more likely to lie, then he's more likely to run game more often than women.
That's like a part of it. But yeah, that's a huge part of it. That just shows the lack of integrity, right? Then you add to that the incentive to lie, which I already spoke to. If I ask you the question, who controls access to sex, men or women, what would you say? You're muted.
Oh, who controls? The way I like to look at it, probably not the popular way to look at it. I just look at it as a door. Who has the key, and who has the ability to let someone in and out. Has control.
Access to it, though?
I'd say women with that knowledge.
Yeah. So women control the access to sex. That means a man has to go through a woman, in the proverbial sense, to get sex, right? So the incentive would be for him to lie to her to get access to her body, right? Because she can sleep with him whenever she wants to, correct?
Right.
Okay. So speaking from that perspective, there is an incentive. There is a built-in incentive for a man to lie to a woman, correct?
Right. So I agree with you. I agree with you. And I think it's fair to do it this way. Men run game more than women. I think I can yield and concede to your point.
And not even close.
It's not even close. Mm-hmm. If and only if the parameters is sexual intercourse. But if the parameters is resources, then we could flip it, right?
Not even close. Still will be men. Again, because women are a resource to men. Men need.
Okay, resources. let me say for money.
Okay. Well, even then, no. Most men can't afford to take care of a woman financially. So most men need women financially.
Most men don't need to be able to take care of women financially to be able to substantiate the position I'm arguing. It only takes a small group of men that can take care of women. And if most of those women are flocking to those men, the argument can stand.
Okay. So statistically, is a woman, when we talk about, because you're talking about hypergamy, what percentage of marriages actually look like hypergamous marriages? Are the majority of marriages,
in terms of money or in terms of the
money,
the dating market value, the dating market value? Because if you're just talking about dating market value, then it's more than just money.
I know. I'm saying
height and all kind of shit.
Well, that wouldn't be hypergamy though. That wouldn't. You being tall has nothing to do with hypergamy. But you having more, as a man, you having more resources, you having social status, which is connected to resources or your access to them. So my question would be, what if that is the case, right? What percentage of marriages are where are hypergamous marriages where the man is making significantly more money than the woman, where the man is when they got married, by the way?
I don't know. I can't statistically quantify that for you, but I can say that most relationships or most marriages are dual income, according to stats.
70% of women work in marriage.
But that doesn't negate hypergamy. Because
that absolutely does.
Because one could earn a little significant more. Dual income doesn't mean it's completely equal across the board.
No. But that's what I'm saying though. That's why I hate the argument of hypergamy, because if we're talking the average man, does the average man make more money than the average woman?
Does the average man make more money than the average woman? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I would have to look that up. You want me to look it up?
Well, no, I already know he does. But then here's a caveat to that though. So when the man and the woman are in their like early 20s up to early 30s, there's some points when the woman makes slightly more than the man, right? When the woman makes slightly more than the man.
Yeah, I remember that stat.
Right. But
It
They
changes
pretty much
whenever they get to a certain age drastically.
because of it, that's because of children. So so unwed women and unwedded men make around the same amount of money. And most people, when they get married, they make around the same amount of money. They have around so that's statistically proven. So how can we sit here and say women are marrying for resources when they're marrying men who make the same amount of money as them, or roughly? Like, if we're saying that, here's what I'm saying. I don't look at hypergamy like I make $68,000 a year and she makes $62,000 a year. She's hypergamous. Like, if that's hypergamy, then fuck it, you got it. But I'm saying if that man, if that man is one of two things, if he is the breadwinner by more than 25% of more than 25% of the income, or if he takes care of her completely financially, then I would consider that to be a hypergamous relationship. Outside of that, and again, that is taken into account after they get married, so not prior to them getting married. Because again, for your thing to make sense, the man and the woman prior to them getting married, the man should be making significantly more money than her. But we know that that's not the case, because most people get married by the age of 30. The average age of marriage is between 29 and 31, right? The vast majority of men don't start hitting their financial stride until their late 30s, early 40s. So I can say, based on the science, it doesn't make sense for me to think that women in general are marrying men for resources because women can provide for themselves. So it doesn't make any sense.
Well, it could be two things that are truth. It could be the fact that women have the capability to go out and provide for themselves, and at the same time, they would rather have a man who does it for them. But then you have a group of women who, if you look at the stats are showing that these women are being with men who share the weight or share the brunt of bringing in the resources. You could argue, and I don't think the stats is showing that, how many of those women are settling. Hypergamy still exists, regardless of if the woman's settled. She still has the desire to have a stronger, more man of more status, a man with more money, XYZ. The hypergamy is still there, regardless regardless of whether or not she settles for a man or come to her sense that she may not even qualify for the guy she's punching outside.
No. We have to keep the intellectual integrity. It cannot be, right? I cannot go on what women want. I'll be honest with you, because all of us, right? All of us want what we want. Like, my crush growing up was Nia Long. That is the woman of my dreams when I was 13, 15 years old, 18 years old. You know what I'm saying? I met my wife when I was really young too. But whatever though. Let's say that's just because I didn't marry Nia Long don't mean that I settled. You see what I'm saying? Just because I didn't marry Whitney Houston, which was my crush before Nia Long, just because I didn't marry Whitney Houston doesn't mean that I settled. Like, that's not settling, right? Women, I look at settling like this. If you are in a position where you are worse off with the person than you are without the person, then you settle. That's what I consider settling. If you are in a relationship with the person, right, and that person isn't adding value to your life, and they're actually dragging you or holding you back, you being with them is actually dragging you down or holding you back, then I say you settle. That's my definition of settling, right? Because I can't make it make sense any other way, because
maybe I could.
Well, hold on,
a different way of looking at it. Go ahead.
I got you. You can right out as soon as I get in. So, but what I'm saying is if I get with a woman and she's adding value to my life, how did I settle just because I wanted Nia Long or whatever? I thought or whatever, even the equivalent, whatever. I was like, I'm getting Nia Long, and I never got to Nia Long. I never even got nowhere close, right? But my wife is awesome. My wife is beautiful. My wife is awesome. My wife, she has been nothing but awesome to me and for me and all of these things. Did I settle? Is
Yeah,
that, are we considering that settling?
I get what you're saying. I think you're inaccurately measuring your expectations or what the expected outcomes of what you can get. Me alone is an unrealistic outcome.
Why?
You don't agree that me alone was an unrealistic outcome for you?
I think Nia Long, look, here's what I'm saying. If Nia Long was unrealistic for me, then a woman marrying a man with integrity, it's easier for me to, I had a better chance of me meeting Nia Long than a woman has of meeting a man with integrity.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just asking you simply, do you think me alone was a realistic outcome for you
I don't
based
know,
on
man.
what you can get?
Don't, hey, man.
I'm not trying
Yeah,
to throw shade on it. I don't know.
she was unrealistic,
You
man.
probably was that
She
guy
was
back in the
unrealistic.
days. Who knows? You probably was that guy back in the days. I don't know.
I'm just playing. She was unrealistic, man.
Okay, so I think the woman you got and the woman you chose to be with right now was an accurate measure of the outcome you could get. Therefore, you did not settle. Me specifically. I saw my wife, I knew what I had to do. Look, first of all, let me just paint a picture, the difference, so everybody can see the difference between what you think settling is versus me. What I believe settling is sort of like one of the clients I helped, but he ended up settling. He'd had all the markers except a few. He didn't have the height. He had to compensate in other areas because of his height. He wanted a particular woman that was showing him interest, but he didn't earn enough. She usually don't get date guys the same height as her or shorter than her when she wears heels. I told him, hey, look, man, you've been working in this job position for 8 years and you haven't took a leap to upgrade or advance in the position. You have the opportunity to advance in the position. You've disclosed that your employer would advance you, but you fell in love with your position with the team you currently been with. It's almost like a family to you. If you would advance and you would have the salary level, then maybe that'd be more marketable to this woman that you particularly want. She's not going to deal with you because of your earning level. And this is the outcome you want. I don't make the rules. This is the market. This is the particular woman you want. So you have to go and level up so you can get her. He decided that he didn't want to change the job to get her. He wanted her to bend. And she wasn't want to bend, so he went and he was with a woman that was less attractive. Not really his taste, but I guess they're having a good relationship. But I consider that situation a man settle.
Yeah, that was crazy. If the person he is with,
well, he's not with her. He's not with her.
He's with another one.
He chose a different woman. He chose a woman that was of lesser value because he didn't want to level up.
I'm saying the woman that he's with, if that woman is adding value to his life, how can that be settled? It doesn't make any sense. And it's funny because the only thing men say when they talk about settling when it comes to women is always their physical look. It's never their character. It's never the value that they actually bring. It's never that. Because again, once you start talking about the value that women bring, there is no debate. There's no discussion. Do men bring value to women's lives? I'm sorry. Do women bring value to men's lives? Yes. There's no discussion. Men would not deal with women, right? We are very selfish. We do not, and we are, and our minds we have been propagandized a hell of a lot, right? So for a man to commit to a woman or to women, we have to know the value of a woman in general, not just that woman, but just in general. We know the value of women. We know how much value women bring to our lives. I personally, again, it doesn't make any sense for me to look at settling like, oh, I wanted to be with Insta-baddie, but I didn't get with this Insta-baddie, so therefore I'm settling. That is a crazy way to look.
Let me try to. Well, I think you went too far on just the. I think you just simplified it down to the selection process. Yes, the selection process is a term. In that sense, it's settling. The values, you do make a good point. That there's values after you select. How does he hold up there? Well, if we peel back those layers, then the woman that he chose, she's 43. She don't want to have any more kids.
Okay.
The woman that he initially sought after, hasn't had any kids and did want to have kids.
Did he have kids?
Well, he had one. He wanted more.
But he had kids already, bro.
He had one kid.
So he had kids. The woman that he wanted didn't have kids, and she didn't want to be with him. And we're saying we're under the assumption that it was about how much money or how little money he made. When I can almost guarantee you it was a combination of things. One of them probably was he already had a kid, and the other one is probably his character. Because
she was okay with it. She was just adamant about she's not going to date anybody who doesn't earn as much or more than her.
That's sir. Hold on, wait.
But you're missing it. He has the opportunity right now, even today. He has the opportunity to advance in his position that he's been sitting on. He's in the military. Mm-hmm. That he's been sitting on. All he got to do is go and take there's a training in the military that you have to pass in order to go to certain positions. And once you make it to a certain rank, after that point, you have to go and take training. And then you got to go meet the qualifications promotion. These guys it's just too lazy to take the training. So he can level himself up. And then he'll be open to more options, but he's just too lazy to do it. So he settled for someone that wasn't the initial woman that he sought after. And it's just fundamental.
But it's again, if we're judging it, it just seems like the stuff that men want out of women and the things that men, it just seems like men are shallow. Like
I don't think all men are like that. I think that anecdotal situation you can say that he was maybe shallow, maybe.
No, I think most men are shallow, and I think the reasons you gave for him feeling like he settled were very, very shallow, superficial reasons. They didn't. Again, it had nothing to do with that woman's character, and she's a better person. It had nothing to do with that. But again, most men don't settle. I don't think men settle in general. I don't think most men would even date a woman if women didn't add more value to his life than he adds to hers. And I think that most men don't really add any value to women's lives. I think most men end up being a hindrance to a woman. They end up holding a woman back. So ultimately, I feel like pretty much every woman settles, but like almost no men settle. Like I don't see how men are settling for women outside of a man feels like he deserves his Nia Long, right? His muse, and he doesn't get her, and he gets a woman that, whatever type of woman, and then he's like, oh, I'm settling because I didn't get Nia Long. It never has anything to do with the character of the woman. It never has anything to do with the actual value that woman brings to his life. It has everything to do with some superficial ancillary bullshit. Like she don't want to have kids, which is like, you already got a kid. Why you want to have another kid? You done. You old. Why? Or how attractive she is.
How can we say he's done whenever he desires to have more kids? Who are we to say that?
Oh, I mean, I'm just saying that. I think at a certain age, men should be done having kids. Personally, I don't know.
So just like you have a personal preference or morals or standards,
mm-hmm.
Men have also.
Yeah,
these men that you say that most aren't settling. They also have principal standards. I would argue, if you're talking to the side that has a religious background, we live in a society today where I would say 9 times out of 10, every man is settling. Given the fact that, you have to hear the point. Given the fact that whatever statistic we can throw at it, that can substantiate the likelihood at whatever age a woman becomes not a virgin. Because there used to be a time where you could not be a wife, depending on what religion it is, of course. It's subjective. You could not be a wife if you were not a virgin. So off the strength of that specifically, one could argue, depending on his religion, if it aligns to that a man is settling if he's with a woman who's already been
Again, how does a woman being a virgin help you as a man? Even if I
Well,
played the
that's
virginity
irrelevant to the point I was making.
no. But that's what I'm saying.
We can digress from that, but
No, but Darwin, that has to be what I'm saying is we need to establish a baseline. That's what I've been trying to do. I'm saying instead of us saying and making it be like this huge thing, like, well, you could say it's like I don't want to do that. I want to establish a baseline. My baseline for settling, and you can agree to disagree, or I mean agree
we
or
can't
agree.
establish a baseline if we both are speaking from two different realities.
That's what I'm no. It's the reality is reality. It's only one reality, right?
It can't.
So
It's impossible to
there's
be.
only that is there is only
There's
one reality.
only reality, but it is possible to be able to see it in two different perspectives if you have two people or more.
I know, but again, seeing something and it being reality are two
How
totally
do
different
you think?
things.
How do you think, or how you can say that most men are X, Y, and Z, and I can say that most women are X, Y, and Z? Because we have two different perspectives and we're seeing reality in two different ways. That is the reason.
No, the reason is because, and this is what I'm saying. The reason why is because when I ask you, what does it actually look like for a man to settle? Like, let's set some parameters for that. You don't set any. So that way you can keep saying that.
In that case I gave you, there's no way I could set it in that case because I would have to investigate further into the relationship to see if there are any issues or any values being exchanged mutually between the two to substantiate
I'm saying we could
it was a value issue. Because your argument is that if they're getting the value from each other, then it wasn't settled. I don't know that yet.
Logically, it can't be settled.
I agree, but I cannot substantiate whether it is or not between a couple unless I had more information. But I was only giving you what I had. I was only giving you what I could substantiate, and that was the selection process and compatibility.
Yeah, I don't. That's and men are virginity. Men being upset. Virginity is not even a real thing. It's a made up. It's a concept like gender, like race. It's not a real thing. But men being obsessed with virginity is very. Oh man, where you go? It's very troubling. Damn. Let me read these though, since we in here. We'll be back hopefully. Mont and Deja said, I would agree that in terms of Mont and Deja said, hold on, let me read these real quick then since we I got a few super chats I want to read. Mont and Deja said, I would agree that in terms of relationships, most men do lack integrity, which is why a man with high integrity is rare and in high demand. Yep, absolutely. Red said, grown men using quote unquote game, weak male energy, facts, instead of just telling the truth. Red said, he quote unquote games men for money though. Damn. Nisha said, look at him running interference for his homies. Oh. Mont said, Mont and Deja said, all right, bet. Mont and Deja said, a lot of generalizations here for what men and women don't want. Please don't bring up needing studies, fellas, and just have the conversation. Kat said, can see why his name isn't spelled Darwin. That would be too much. This man is so threatened by the potential of women. He is actively hiding from any that stand up to him for shame. Snapback says, he came so unprepared with statistics, but has a whole podcast talking shit about women. How, Sway? Kay said, so essentially, he was unwilling to do what it took. She would be settling. Yep, facts. She would have been the one settling. Kat said, oh, men are so deluded. Yeah, they were all virgins. Of course they were. Women knew how to get around that nonsense very quickly. Yeah, all the women were quote unquote virgins back then. It was a lie though. Kat said, oh, and no woman ever faked it with him too, right? The women be faking it. All right, go ahead, Darwin.
No, but I think the one of the comments kind of understood what I was saying. That woman that he was trying to level up for, or he didn't level up, she would have settled. If she would have still entertained a relationship with him when she had standards that she wasn't going to be with a man that earned the same or less than her. And I think that common agreed. So the man, and that's the same way I see it. If a man has the opportunity to get the outcome he desires, and he's not willing to put in the work, and he has the capability, the ability, the air in his lung, blood in his veins to be able to do it, and he doesn't carry out what's necessary to do it, he is settling. It doesn't matter if it's a relationship, doesn't matter if it's a job, doesn't matter if it's a task that he does on a daily basis. You're settling whenever you don't go ahead and complete everything, do everything you need to do to get do the work to get it done. It's just fundamental, simple.
Yeah, but he wasn't settling for his wife. He was settling for he settled in his position. I'll give you that, but he didn't settle for his wife. His wife still
he had well, in this case, he had two options. He wanted the option number one. Yeah, he knew what he had to go do to be able to get option number one. He didn't want to do it, so he chose option two.
I have a question for you. Did he tell the woman he ended up marrying that he settled for her?
I can't answer that. I would think he wouldn't. It wouldn't make sense to communicate that to her.
Why
I don't
not?
think a woman. It just doesn't. It don't even make sense to communicate that.
Why not though? It doesn't make sense for the man to communicate that. You don't think it makes sense for the woman to know that though? To know that he felt like that about her?
Well, he didn't agree when I told him. I said, "Look, you're settling." So why would he go and communicate something that he don't agree?
Wait,
it is me who told him you are settling.
So he didn't even feel like he was settling?
No, he didn't feel like he was settling. He just felt like he didn't qualify. I told him,
brother. But that's
I told him he
qualified. He didn't even feel like he was settling. You
right.
said
it came from me that he was settling. Initially, he wasn't able to conjure this up on his own. He just thought that, oh, she just had these strict standards. And I was like, no, she don't have any strict standards. You can actually meet and surpass him on a whim of one simple decision. But I don't want to do that. So, okay, then you should choose a different option because you can't get that option.
You don't think that that's unfair for you to say that man settled when he doesn't even feel like he settled?
Well, I don't think that's unfair to say? I don't base my evaluation contingent on fairness or his feelings. It's just the truth.
How was it the truth?
Well, I just articulated that.
But you didn't know, because you just said, that's why, hold on.
Just because he doesn't feel like I've talked to people who don't even feel like they cheated. Just because you don't feel like you cheated doesn't mean you didn't. It's no different in any of those instances. But
that's different. Because cheating is pretty ironclad. You either did or you didn't. You know what I'm saying?
In that specific scenario, it wasn't intercourse. It was.
Well, I mean, you could cheat emotionally.
Exactly. It's other things that not all, but there's a lot of guys, a lot of women don't think that that's cheating. But I'm not here to, just because you don't agree that it's cheating. I'm not in the business of just siding with you just because you don't agree with it.
Did his spouse feel like, or his mate feel like it was cheating?
Yeah, she felt like, she didn't like. She didn't like. She said that anything that he's doing behind my back that he knows that I won't like, or I won't approve of it, she considered that cheating.
Yeah, that's cheating.
It's some type of betrayal.
It is, yeah.
Right.
So that's cheating. Yeah, super easy.
Yeah, so I had to make him aware. I didn't make women aware of that too. And I know you don't like me to. I don't know. I know the audience don't like that. I'm able to speak to both sides. I see that in the comments. But women are. What I'm saying, women are doing the same things. And I notice when I speak to the men about what the men are doing, or men are cheating, everybody's okay with it. But the moment I say the women are cheating too, then it's this disconnect.
Wait, you think I don't care. I know women cheat.
Okay, I was just making sure.
I don't think women don't cheat. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Nobody. Look, brother, I promise you. As far as I can tell, because I've been in so many of these spaces, my audience is very fair. They are actually very They don't live in absolutes. We don't live in the black and white world. That is the other side. They project that a lot, right? We just don't let people gaslight us and act like saying that it goes both ways it gives off the impression that it's equal in somewhere or that it's even close, but it's not equal and it's not even close. Saying that there are bad women out there, I'm just using that term in general, right? Saying there's bad women out there and there's bad men out there would make you, if you didn't know anything, you would think, oh, so it's like, yeah, there's bad women. You got the same chances of meeting a bad woman as you do of meeting a bad man, right? But statistically, there are far more bad men than there are bad women. Oh yeah, women are violent. Or I'm sorry, not women are violent. There's violent women out there and there's violent men out there. You're right. But who commits the vast majority of the violence? The men. So why are we talking about it in a way where it sounds like it's an actual even exchange on any level if we're being honest? Like, that's what I'm saying. If we're having an honest conversation, we should never talk about it in that way. We should always talk about it like, okay, and it ain't if it was 55-45, we can have the conversation. If it was even 60-40, we can have the conversation. It's 98-2. It's 90-10. It's 99-1. It's 85-15. Like, these are blowouts. That's why I don't do the it goes both ways stuff. I'm cool with talking about it if it actually goes both ways. I'll talk about it from the both ways perspective. But far too many times the conversations get convoluted because one side it's trying, and the reason why men are always trying to say it goes both ways is so that men don't have to actually take accountability for the shit that men do. So we can go, why are we going to work on being better when women won't work on being better? And my answer to that is women are already better. Don't worry about them. They already got it. If we could catch up to them, we would be great. If we could, if 85% of the violence in the country is committed by men and only 15% is committed by women, how about we lower it and we match the women's output when it comes to violence? If 98% of the violence in the world is committed by men, how about we match the 2% of women? That would drastically and dramatically change all the societies across the globe. Instead, men want me to go, well, 2% of women commit violence, therefore it goes both ways. So what are we even working on? You always want to talk on one side.
Yeah, I don't. When I argue, I don't usually argue, oh, but this side do too. You know what I'm saying? If the argument is that men are being violent, then I'll try to peel back the layers of why, and then whatever solution that can be brought into the conversation. But I haven't really looked at that stat. Now I don't know. I guess because of my niche or my lane and where I make content is not really fixated or surrounded by the violence that's taking place.
Yeah, it is.
No, I don't. My content is around the dating market,
which is related to. That's what I'm saying though. Like, all of it is connected though. Like, the reason why I know it, A, is because it's interesting, but B, the reason why I know it and the reason why it's important for me to know it is, again, so that I don't fall into the trap of talking as if it goes both ways. That's why it's important to know it, because a lot of the time when like specific, like especially like when I watch your content, a lot of it is like, women ain't perfect too, or you know what I mean? And it gives off that impression. I'm like, nobody thinks women are perfect, but women aren't the problem. That's the point. It's like, who is there? There is an actual problem, and there is a group that perpetuates said problem far more than the other group. The problem is misogyny, and the group is men. Are women perfect? Nope. But are they the cause of the problem? Nope. Do they perpetuate the problem the most? Absolutely not. So as soon as I do that math, I don't even talk to women, and I don't need to worry about women. I don't need to focus on what women are doing. I don't need to tell men it goes both ways. I just focus on the behaviors of men and helping men grow. Because if I can do that, then everybody wins. The men win, the women win, the children win, right? I don't want to make excuses for men. I want men to actually take real accountability for once.
Yeah, I don't either. I flourish in the dating market. Dating market value is pretty much where I lean at.
But that leads to violence, though.
I don't and that's why I said that's your perspective. That's your reality. It's not my reality, my perspective. It's not what I see when I'm
You don't,
actually. No,
but Darwin, what I'm
that's
saying is,
the issues. I don't.
you don't think that calling, like looking at women as objects, which that's what the dating market devalues both men and women, but mainly women. You don't think that devaluing women, dehumanizing women leads to violence against them in the real world?
No, you would have to show me where you able to draw that connection. I'm not drawing that connection. When I look at the dating market, I don't. I'm seeing two people that's trying to reach compatibility so they can get into a relationship and move forward. Now, when you start bringing up violence and all this other stuff, that's a whole nother different lane that I'm not speaking to when it comes to my content.
That's an easy. I don't know. That's kind of
And
that's a
I would say it's largely because most of the people who reach out to me privately
Mhm.
are not reaching out to me because of violence. They're reaching out to me because they have compatibility issues. But if
I'm
it
not saying
was
why they reach out to you.
right,
I hear
so
that.
I like to just and I might be bottlenecking myself to a specific lane. That might be the reason why I may not be growing as fast. Maybe I should expand to the violence that's happening.
No. That's what I'm saying.
I like what I've been doing and it's been working. So I just been
I don't
sticking
think,
to that. Yeah.
but I don't think what you're doing. What I'm saying is you can give dating advice, right? Like that's all fine and dandy. I don't care about that. I don't. Me personally, I don't give dating advice. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not a dating coach. Or I don't consider myself to be one, right? But I don't disrespect people being. You know what I'm saying? Doing that. That's fine. Do your thing. The only issue, or typically the only issues that I have when it comes to dating and dating coaches is when they like again when you dehumanize women in the process of trying to give people advice on dating. I'm saying the dehumanization part is the part that leads to violence. That's the part that leads to violence. So again, looking at women as like numbers as opposed to people. Like I don't call women dimes. I don't say they're 8s and 3s and 5. I don't use that type of stuff. I don't say that they have dating value. I don't talk about their body count. Like all of these things are linked to very misogynistic views and talking points. And if you are a misogynistic man, and misogyny is the root of all violence, specifically as it pertains to women. If you are a misogynistic man and you get online and I hear some information that validates what I think about women, right? That tells me that women are just after my money, they're hypergamous, they don't really love men. It's all about this formula you got to find. So you don't treat them as people. It's not about you having integrity. It's not about you being an actual human being and treating them as such. It's checking off boxes, dotting I's and crossing T's. When I don't get the intended outcome, right? Because I haven't worked on my character, now I'm mad. Now I'm angry. And now you validated the feeling that women aren't human beings. Therefore, I can take it from them if I want to.
Oh
Therefore,
no.
I'm justified in me going upside their head when they like. That's what I'm saying. That's how it's connected. Jokes are
Well,
connected to
well,
violence. All of it.
that is an individual connecting it, and that's on that person. If they want to connect it to, hey, I'm justified to start rendering violence because I'm not getting outcome, then that person is going to reap what he sow, and there is a system in place for him whenever he decides to commit violence.
But they don't get brought to justice nearly enough. And B, what about if they just didn't actually harm women? Like, let me ask you a
You
question.
don't.
Do you
Are
think
you saying what men don't get brought? We don't have a justice
the
system.
vast majority of men never get brought to justice for harming women?
Why? Why not?
Because the system is rooted in misogyny and it doesn't seek to punish men for harming women. It's actually a cornerstone of the patriarchy is to keep women in check by physical violence or threats of physical violence. So they allow men to do that. They when men do get caught, they get punished slightly. Men don't get.
that's why I said, and that's why I'm really honing down on this thing about different realities, because I'm seeing when men are brought up on allegations or charges or whatever,
Mhm.
the women are getting their just due. They're walking away with $1 million of settlement, abuse. Uh, uh, I think right now Shannon Sharp's opponent, and I'm not gonna say opponent, but the woman who pressed charges against him, I think it's leaked information going around that her attorney is not even showing up to argue a position which could hurt her case. So I think, and the
But
reason
what
why
does that have to do
the
with?
reason why I say I want to hone in on this reality thing, because if you look at now versus back in the days when the newspaper era, everybody had the same reality for the most part. Everybody read the same headlines. The bashing of a specific political position was the same. We read it the same. We had the same view. Now we have this thing called algorithms. So now my wife, who's a feet away from me, can have an entire different reality than me just because based off of what she click and like, and it can expose her to different stats, different experiments, different research, a different perspective, and we could sit here for hours arguing in the kitchen over it because we have access to be able to have our own reality based on whatever we ingest and digest on a daily basis. We are going to be at a difference on some of these topics, and that's fine. That's fine. But I know once we start peeling back the layers of why this, we will seem to find a common ground.
But we know why. That's what I'm saying. Some of us already know why, though. Like I know why. I know why. I know why what's happening. And again, there's only one reality. There's only like facts without context don't mean anything. But if you give me facts with context, the reality will be the same almost every single time. So I don't think that my wife sees a different reality than me. She may see things that I don't see. She may experience things that I don't experience, but that doesn't mean we have that reality in and of itself is different. It's still reality. Reality is a constant. You know what I'm saying? It either is or it isn't reality. So the reality is women go through X, Y, and Z. That's the reality. Do we experience X, Y, and Z? No, that's also the reality. See what I'm saying? But the reality is still the same. So I don't.
Well, let me try to give you a scenario, and then I'm gonna have to wrap it up. And I appreciate you bringing me on. Let's say this. Let's say you have two women.
Mm-hmm.
And one woman came from trauma, abuse, all these other nasty things that's happened when she was a child. Okay. So she may not want to be with a man because of it, but the other one didn't. But they come into the same room to have a conversation. You don't think that those two are going to have disposition, or they're going to be predisposed to having different viewpoints, different perspectives based off of the reality they experience? No, and they will try to push that. And we know that that woman that had the trauma is going to push that men are abusive, men are this, men are that. And the other woman is going to say, no, I get it. You know, there's some men, but not all. You know, there's going to be that disconnect.
But Darwin, what I'm saying is in that scenario, I'm glad you gave that scenario. In that scenario, though, there is a reality. Whether the woman so basically, the woman who hasn't been abused, she may be more idealistic than the other woman. The other woman may be more cynical, but the other woman may be correct. She probably is correct if she's saying that in general, men are abusive, because most men are abusive statistically. So if most men are abusive, and then the other woman is arguing that no, I think it's just some men, then the other woman is wrong, whether it's her experience with men or not. That's
what happens when those two go? Right. So what happens when those two women become content creators? We can agree that they're going to have two different audiences, right? Yeah. One audience is going to say men are misogynist, one men are abusive, men are whatever. She might even be gay. Excuse my language. Yeah, she might even turn out to be, you never know. You never know what it can do. The other women might say she's a pick me over there or whatever. These things are just happening. And it's fine. Like I don't have
but that doesn't change that still doesn't change the reality. The reality is most men are abusive. Whether you feel like that's not reality or not, or whether that is your experience, not your reality, your experience or not, It's a totally, completely
Well,
different
look,
argument.
I agree to you. If there's a statistic that says that men commit more violence, and based on a statistic that men commit more violence than women, you can argue that men are more abusive or more violent. I'm sorry.
No. Men are. What I'm saying is most men are and or have been abusive to a woman or multiple
What
women.
percentage?
Most.
What is it? 55, 60, 80?
No. The vast majority. And the reason and how I know that is this. Meaning, if you actually pull all the studies and you pull all the data, you will see if you line up all the categories of abuse, a man has done one or multiple things. Emotional abuse, lying, cheating, things of that nature, gaslighting, whatever, neglect, financial abuse, physical abuse, so on and so forth, right? Like men do one of those things. No, the vast majority of men fall in one of those categories, right?
Does it compensate for the men who, because we do know there's a plethora of men that do not even report being abused.
Yeah, even if you do the whole, like, again, you're trying to do like women abuse too, which that's a problem, like I've been saying. The vast majority of women who get abused don't report it. So if that's the game we're playing, so we would have to go, okay, so imagine if every woman who got abused reported their abuse, and every man that got abused reported their abuse. Do you think the numbers would change? Do you think it would look like, oh, see, per capita, men get abused just as much as women, or would it be? I think it would.
I don't know. I think that would be a very interesting study. But I do know and I agree with you, we got to work with what we got. We only can work with what's reported. We do understand that both sides may not be accurately reported, or not. I'm not going to say accurately reporting, but reporting when it does happen. So we can only work with what we got, and we can just, I guess we just have to argue from that. But I'm not arguing against that, the violence part. If it's just a stat that says that men are more violent based off of that, then yeah.
But again, I want to be clear. I'm not just talking about violence. I'm talking about the abuse that happens more frequently. The abuse that happens more frequently is neglect, manipulation, cheating, narcissistic abuse. Those are the things that happen far more frequently.
I would argue that women cheat more.
They don't, though. Statistically, they don't.
Well,
I mean, it just doesn't.
I didn't say I would pull a stat. I would just said I would argue that, because in my work, women don't even call it cheating. They'll say he wasn't there for me, or he didn't spend time. They don't label it cheating. So whenever it is reported, it's not even accurately reported.
Let me ask you a question. What is the the divorce rate, the percentage of divorces that are initiated by women, correct?
Yeah, I think recently I think it's gotten up to almost 80%.
It's almost 70%. It's like 69%, but let's say 70%, right? So 70% of divorces are initiated by women. Okay. All right. That's almost three quarters. Okay. What is the likelihood that the person that got cheated on doesn't initiate the divorce, and the person that does the cheating initiates the divorce? Is it more likely that the person that did the cheating will initiate the divorce, or the person that got cheated on will initiate the divorce? Oh, your mic is off again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Person that got cheated on, person that was offended, betrayed.
The person that got, okay. So if 70%, and we know the number one reason for divorce is still infidelity. If the number one reason for divorce is infidelity, and the likelihood that the person that got cheated on is going to be the person that that files for divorce, we know that actually is the most likely scenario. Then couldn't I deduce from that from that logic that men are actually still cheating more than women?
Well, yeah, you could do it, but then you could, but you would be doing yourself a disservice if you just stopped it at that. Why? Because it wouldn't solve the problem.
What do you mean? What
the problem is cheating, right?
Okay.
It's not necessarily divorce. Divorce is the end result in the behavior.
Yeah.
But the problem to solve is, why is it taking place? Why
because
can't
men are abandoning women? When women cheat,
if you look at
when
the
women cheat,
research
they're
on
afraid.
that, then you got
Mm.
well, like if you look at the research on why men are cheating, what is the reason, the common reason, or the top reasons they're cheating, or maybe the number one reason?
Men cheat
One
because
would
they
argue
can.
that the reason why they're cheating is because they're not getting their desires met. Or
Men or women?
men, we're talking
No,
about men cheating. I think it was on
men
men
cheat
cheating, right?
because they can. Men cheat because they
That's
can.
one of
Chris
them
Rock,
because of
Chris Rock,
opportunity.
no, that's the number. Wait, you said the number one reason. The number one reason men cheat is because they can. The majority of men, when they cheat, report that they're still in love with the woman that they cheated on. When you ask women who cheat, the majority of men that they cheat on, they say they're not in love with them anymore. They're already gone out of the relationship. It's just a matter of time. They cheat women cheat at the end of the relationship. Men cheat beginning, middle,
I
and end.
agree. I agree. There's three categories of what a reason, or the top three reason why, and it was one of them was being cheap because of their opportunity. I think one of them was desires not being met. I
Those are
don't
probably the two
I don't
biggest
know what
reasons.
the other one
Yeah,
was.
those are the two biggest reasons, though.
Then
Obviously, you don't need to.
we would have to intersect the rate and the percentages of divorces that's filed for infidelity, linking that to one of those three categories for the most part. And if it is indeed attached to the one with cheating as an opportunity for men, then we could deduce from that accurately that the reason why most women are filing for divorce is because of men cheating because of opportunity. But it would have to accurately have to be, and we could do that.
But there are
That's
studies.
an experiment that we can do.
If you put all the studies together, that's what it says. But I have a question for you. So, if who do you think out of the two groups who has more integrity? Because that's what cheating is kind of rooted in. It's all about integrity, right? So, who has more integrity? Who do you trust more?
When it comes to faithfulness,
Anything. To be honest with you, when you think about it,
in
anything, it really
general,
don't even matter.
well, I mean, I trust my wife, but I mean,
I know,
if you're saying
out of the two, who do you trust more?
we're talking
Men or
about
women?
men and women to do what they're
Mhm.
supposed to do,
Yep.
who do I trust more to do what they're supposed to do? I would say men. Men are more logical. Men are more
You think
straight.
men are more
Matter
logical
of
than women?
fact, yeah, I think men are more logical,
Okay.
and I think women are
So
more emotional.
got you. So what is your most, would you say that the most important thing in your life, most important things in your life, I would say, I don't mean in that way, but the most important things in your life are your children?
The most important things in my life is my children. No,
No? What is it?
the most important thing to me in my life is my wife. Well,
Okay.
first of all, it's my purpose. Then it's my wife. Then it's my children.
Okay. So, but your children are very important to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
but there's
So
an order of importance.
I got you. I got you. Okay. So your children are very important to you, though. Okay. Um, if you had to leave your children in the care of somebody that you don't know, and the only thing you have to base this on is the gender of the person, they're relatively the same age, they look about the, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't like one is slovenly, like they're both in business. I don't care. Whatever you want to say, they both look the same, relatively speaking, right? Just two average people, a man or a woman around the same age. Who would you feel most comfortable leaving your child?
Well, if it is a matter of nurturing, it is the woman.
No. Just one night. Just one night. You gotta look. Look, I'll make it even more interesting because I've done this before too. There's a room, there's 10 men in the room, there's 10 women in the room. You got to leave your kid in one of these rooms for one night. You got to. For whatever reason, I don't care. Whatever. Aliens, I don't give a fuck.
I'll leave it with the woman. I will leave it with the woman.
Cool.
Some women are
And
more
why is
nurturing.
that? Yeah, no, not because they're more nurturing. Well, nurturing is
That's
a
my
vague term
reason.
in it. Yeah, but it's one.
They're more careful with children than men.
Okay, they're more trustworthy with children.
So you could say that.
Yeah. So how can it be that with some, the two of the people that are the most important people in your life, your children, you are most comfortable leaving them with women? You tell me that you trust men more than you trust women, though.
Well,
In
that case, then yeah, you got a good position on me. But if it was for me to leave my kids with 10 men that were responsible from getting them out of harm's way, across some type of valley or something into a secure location in the midst of destruction, then I would trust the 10 men.
So you think so? Okay, but this is why that logic doesn't work, because if what do you think nurturing means?
What do I think nurturing means? Being able to care for a child or
Take care of a child, right?
care, period. Being able to render some type of care, emotional support, psychological support. You can call it protection. Yeah.
Definitely protection would be a part of that.
You can call it
So women are more nurturing than men, meaning women protect children better than men do. And women care about children more than men do. They pay attention to the needs more than men do. So why would you trust 10 men to get your baby anywhere versus 10 women?
Because men are able to fight off violence, defend against threats more often and more effective than women.
And what would scenario. And what would be the most common threat?
What would be the most common threat?
For a child.
I would say other men or other men for the most part, but women can be a threat too. But men are more overpowering. So biologically, men.
Well, it's not because we're more powerful, but so that brings me to my point. So if men are,
you don't like to use power, you don't like to associate powerful with men.
No, it's not because we're more powerful. It's because we are more prone to abuse. We're more prone to abusing.
We have the strength. We can do more.
No,
damage.
we have to. No. We have the desire to.
You don't think men have the more power than women?
That's not what I'm saying. It's the reason why men harm children more than women do has nothing to do with us being stronger. Has everything to do with our desire.
I'm not trying to argue who harms one the most. I'm just arguing, given the scenario, if they're just sitting there watching the kids, let a group of women sit there and put on fucking Miss Rachel and all that or whatever, or give them some juices and stuff and take care of them for a matter of hours. But if it's for me to have my child or my children protected, I would want male presence there.
What is the most likely scenario? Who is most likely to harm your kid? If you're same scenario, 10 men helping your kid get across anywhere they need to get across to. Who is most likely to harm that child?
Who is most likely to harm that child? If it's a 10 men, I would say that the likelihood of anyone, man or woman, being able to harm those kids, it goes to almost zero. But if it's a group of women,
no, wait. But that's not right though, Darwin. The likelihood, the most likely scenario isn't that your baby's going to be harmed by some outside force. It's most likely that they're going to be harmed by the men in the group, statistically.
I could make the argument, and I'm gonna humor you. I mean, I'm not gonna humor you. I'm sorry. I can make the argument if it's 10 men, the one that would actually be successful in harming my children, if it's a trip from point A to B to get my kids in a secure location, would be women. And I'm gonna tell you why. Depending on the level of seduction between point A and B that these women are able to render to these 10 men, they can demobilize these men, strip them of the defenses based off of sexual seduction, and have access to my children to cause that. But if it's 10 men, 10 men are gonna look at 10 men riding in the truck.
Come on, you gotta laugh at that bullshit.
10 men are gonna look.
That nigga said that. Hey,
telling you, bro.
Come on, man. You know, get it.
Come on, man. You can't see that. You can't see that. You can't see a mile away 10 women with some Daisy Dukes. Hey, let me wash your car. And those 10 men like, hold on, man.
Come on, man.
Slow down. We got a few minutes. Man. Come on, man.
Nah, we ended it on that one. That's crazy.
We got to end it on that one.
It done got ridiculous now with it. Say the women.
We got to end it on that one.
Mobilize the men with their coochies. I'm done. You got it.
You got it. It's a game, bro. It's an evil game, bro.
Nah, man. That's wicked. That's wicked work, man. But hey, brother, I appreciate you coming on, man. We rocked out for 2 hours. It was good. I had a
Yeah,
good
man,
time.
I gave you 2 hours, and you know what? It didn't even get to disrespect. You see that two
It
men can
never
come
does.
in with two different positions and have a useful conversation, even though we don't
It,
agree on a lot of things. We
mhm.
still got love for each other as brothers, right?
It don't me, hey man, it never got to get to disrespectful with me. As long as
Exactly.
people don't disrespect me, I don't disrespect them.
And you know, I ain't even that type of guy to do that.
That's what I'm saying.
But
I keep it
I do want to ask you about a brother that came on my panel last night. I
okay.
noticed you had a lot of anger against people coming for Dr. Cheyenne Bryant about her credentials, and I think you spoke
Not anger,
on.
but
Well, you thought it was unfair for them to do that, and I think it's unfair that you came after Jeff St. James. I don't know if
why?
he warranted. I'm just saying. Maybe y'all had a conversation in the past, but
I don't know that man. I just
yeah,
saw
that's
that
why
man
I
3
was kind
days
of wondering,
ago.
like, why do you think he's not? Why do you
Oh,
don't think
because
he
I
had a
could
credential?
see through. Because he was lying.
You thought he was lying
100%.
on what?
If that dude came, if Jerry came on here right now, right,
If he
and he
came on
tried
here
to have,
right now,
if he came on here right now and tried to talk to me and had those conversations that he was having on them panels, it would be shut down in 2 seconds because he don't make no.
okay, I understand now. You just had a disagreement with his position, but you don't internalize it as his credentials are fake or whatever.
No. I don't think I looked him up. He is he's like he has a degree in like biblical therapy or something like that, which is not what he's talking about. That's what I'm saying. That's his credentials has nothing to do with the space he's in. So him throwing that around is disingenuous. The same way people be trying to come after Dr. Cheyenne Bryant and check her credentials. That's what I was saying. I was like, I find it convenient, right? And I went to school with Cheyenne. I knew her since I was in 10th grade. 11th grade. I knew Cheyenne since we grew up in Long Beach, California together. That's my homegirl, right? So a part of it is personal, but in all honesty, it's just hypocritical of me.
I don't think he said, and I'm not sure. I don't know if he said anything. I don't think he particularly said anything against Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
He did. No. He didn't, and that's why I said I just used him as an example. I said because every time I see him, people talking about he's a therapist. They want to throw around he's a therapist, right? They throw that title around. So is Cheyenne Bryant, right? So my thing is if y'all gonna sit there, the only reason why men was scrutinizing Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is because she was saying things that was challenging the patriarchy. She was backing men down, putting them in a corner and talking shit to them, right? And they don't like that, man. So the Corey Holcombs of the world, they started coming out, oh, that dirty dog-headed B-word and all that, started being disrespectful. I know you suck dick and you ain't a real doctor, and just trying to discredit her, right? And I said, okay, that's how you feel. I noted it. I did videos on it. I said, that's crazy that y'all doing that, whatever. Then this dude popped up. I didn't even need to check his shit. I knew my wife is a psychologist. She ain't a psychiatrist. She's a psychologist, right? Got her master's. Talking to her, listening to the things that she says, the way that she talks about human behavior, completely different than the way that Jeffrey talks about it. He talks about it like an uneducated human being. But then he says that he's a therapist, which gives what he's saying, at least on the surface, validity. And that is not good. We cannot have people using their titles to validate toxic behaviors and toxic ideologies like the ones he perpetuates. So that's when I called him out. But then I just made the comparison between the two and was like, look, if y'all gonna talk cash money shit about Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, why don't y'all check this man's credentials? Because if you do, I guarantee you he got less credentials than her. And he get to call himself a therapist, and he get to tout himself as a professional in the space just because he's saying the things that men agree with.
Is he licensed? Hasn't he licensed as a therapist?
I don't know. I just know. I know that I think he might be. I don't know. I went to his
So if let's just say he is. I think he is. He
page.
said he is. I think it's on his site or whatever. Let's just say he's a licensed therapist.
Okay.
Because of his degree, does it restrict him from speaking? First of all, I mean, we got freedom of speech, right? And it's subjective to whoever wants to call it toxic or not toxic, depending on the targeted audience. It may be for a specific audience. But we can agree that if you do have a license, you can practice therapy. You don't have to bottleneck yourself to the biblical side of it. You can just become a therapist for all people who need therapy, right? Yeah, you don't turn away people at your door. If it's not about the Bible, you got to go somewhere else. Anybody can
But
come in and needs therapy.
yeah, but that's not my argument at all. I don't mind him being a therapist, but he needs to stay in his lane. His lane is not. I'm saying all I'm saying is if you are going to use your title, you're going to use your education as a way to validate what you're saying, then your education should have something to do with the thing you're talking about. And his education has nothing to do with the things he's talking about. He's just talking. He's just a talking head, and that's fine. Just like you and me, neither one of us are licensed. We talking. My point is, his opinion and his perspective is no more or less valid than yours or mine, right? But
I don't think he tried to hype him, but I don't think he tried to elevate himself higher than any said person to warrant such.
Of course he does, and that's what other people do. And it may, you know what? It may not even be him. But I'm saying, whenever people make these thumbnails and whatever's, if they're going to put in there therapist Jeffrey da 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 da, and okay, cool. So I'm listening to him. I'm like, okay, so he has the credentials, and then I look at it. I'm listening to it, and I'm like, oh, this motherfucker is just regurgitating misogynistic talking points. And he can't substantiate any of these claims, right? I know that, but most men don't, and most men don't care to know that. So, but they get to go around now and say a licensed therapist was online saying thus. That's what I'm saying, and that's dangerous. That's something that I can't rock with. I'm not cool with that. So
and I understand you can't rock with it, and I think what you just did would just showcase that it's for a specific audience. It's not for everybody. I think his targeted audience is maybe his lane is men's issue, and I think that's the very thing he talks about.
No. That's disingenuous though. I care about men. I care about men more than any red pill man on this app. I genuinely care about men. I do. And you can tell.
I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying that.
No, I know, but this is what I'm saying. I'm saying my target audience is men too. Men don't want to listen. I know that. My target audience is men, though. I know the only way for me to get men to listen to me is to be like Jeffrey and say things that are untrue about men and women. Claims that can't be substantiated, lies about men and women, misconceptions about men and women, right? If I do those things, I can attract.
Are you being completely honest?
Your audience. Yeah.
No, I don't want to. I don't think we gotta go to extreme.
I've been asking if I was to ask you, if I was to both get hooked up to a lie detector test, I'll put it all.
I don't need you to do it, but if I was to like, hey, look, PO, what is your demographics on your analytics? Would it be mostly women?
It's mostly women, but that again, my audience. I don't pick my audience though. Like I don't. Y'all do. I don't.
What if I told you? What if I told you from the outside in? When you make content that, even if it's for men, even if you speak to men, trying to get them to do something, or trying to get them to do that, or challenging, or saying, hey, look, or holding them accountable, or anything, that is going to have an indirect effect that you may not even expect. It's actually going to target more women.
Well, I'm not targeting women though.
Well, I'm saying you don't have to. Like, for example, I could speak to women and hold them accountable and say, oh, y'all need to get y'all shit together. Y'all need to get this. Y'all need to do that. And the way the algorithm works is none of the women are going to click on that. They're going to be like, man, fuck that. You go talk to the men. Men are going to come watch that because it's a confirming bias. So you don't even know that you may have good intention to target men, but indirectly what's happening is you're actually targeting women to come listen to you.
That's wrong because Kevin Samuel's his largest watchers, if I'm not mistaken, were women. Whether they hate watch them or not, women be on both sides. They don't care. They show up, they watch, they argue, they fight. Women don't be scared to go in spaces and and get dirty, and they not looking for confirmation bias. Men are. That's why men stay away from my platform and platforms like mine. It's because I don't let men get away with shit.
I have access to the information, and I know for a fact that Kevin Samuel's majority of his audience was men.
Really?
Yeah.
How much of it was men?
I would say around 65 to 70%.
Okay, so
having 40% of women audiences is a flex.
Huge.
It's huge.
No, that's huge. So let's
But
say
if you
that
go
though.
if you go over around like 80 or 90, and I'm not trying to call you a panderer,
Mhm.
but if you got around 80 to 90% woman audience, you might be borderline. You might have to reevaluate. You might be pandering.
No, I don't though.
I'm
I
just
don't.
kidding.
Yeah, the reality is that I love the word pandering because I understand words very well. Like I'm really good with the English language, right? So the whole thing about pandering is you have to be appealing to a person's baser nature by saying things that typically, just to put it bluntly, are lies. You have to perpetuate lies that appeal to people's baser nature. If you are telling the truth about something, if you are actually telling the truth, whether you believe it or not, just FYI, whether you believe it or not, if you are not saying, if the things you are saying are rooted in facts, stats, whatever, history, whatever, right? Whether you believe it or not, it's irrelevant. You're not pandering by definition. The only way for you to pander is for you to say lies, harmful things. You would say things that wouldn't be accepted in what we would call like polite society to appeal to people's baser nature, right? So me personally, whether you believe I believe the things that I'm saying or not is irrelevant. Can you disprove the things that I'm saying? Can you? Because one thing I notice about my content is I don't get stitched much. I don't have many people. I got tons of videos. I've been on these platforms for 3 years. I don't have many people, many men specifically, taking my videos and bullet point breaking like the way that I do to their content. They don't do that to my content. They can't like disprove what I'm saying. So if the day that men are able to do that is the day that you can call me a pander. Until then, I call all men. I'll flip that around and say though, if your base is majority male and you're in this space, you're 100% a pander. Because the only way for you to get men to follow you is to lie. You cannot tell the truth. You cannot be honest with men. Men the same way. Look, and I'll give you a perfect example. The same way that if I were a YT person and I was talking about race, right? The only way for me to have there's a white man on TikTok. His name is Drinkable Brian. Drinkable Brian makes content that challenges white supremacy, to put it bluntly, right? Whether you think Drinkable Brian is pandering or not, his content challenges white supremacy. Also, Drinkable Brian's, if you look at his comment section and whatnot, it is the vast majority of it is filled with black people, right? Does that mean that Drinkable Brian is pandering to black people, or could it be that most white people just so happen to be racist and they don't want to have their worldview challenged? You wouldn't find a bunch of white people following a white man that is challenging racism, right? That makes sense. The same way you're not going to find a bunch of men following a man that's challenging misogyny and challenging the patriarchy. That's what I'm saying. So
I understand what you're saying, but let's say you say you speak to men. Speak to men, it may be a vague term.
Mm-hmm.
Do you speak on behalf? Do you speak to men on behalf of women?
No, I speak to men's issues, and I speak from a perspective of a man, and I speak from a historical perspective.
Let me try to rephrase it. Is it safe to say that you speak to men from the lens or from the reality or from the perspective of your female audience?
No, I speak to men from my perspective as a man.
Okay, so let me say,
if
200 men were sitting in the chat, would they be receptive to the things that you've been saying, or would they be receptive to the things I've been saying?
Sir, it's almost like you're not listening to what I'm saying.
Well, I'm just asking a simple question.
I know, I'm answering, which I already answered. The men would gravitate towards what you're saying because you don't hold men accountable. You excuse the behaviors of men. Of course, they're going to gravitate towards a person that's making their life easier. They don't want to talk to the motherfucker that holds the mirror up in their face.
So whenever I go live, I have the polar opposite of yours. So the same say, I speak to women on behalf of men. I also speak to men in order to get them to level up. But the women do not show up in my chat like yours because I'm actually holding women accountable, so to speak.
But you can't hold women accountable.
So I can't sit here and say my content is for women. You get what I'm saying?
But do you see how just that statement alone, that proves exactly what I'm saying? Because I've ran prompts I'm talking about hours. I've ran this prompt for hours. I did it the other day. What do you want to hold women accountable for? And the reason, and what I'm asking is when I say that, because the stuff that I talk about starts at the top, right? I start at the top. I start with systemic oppression, and I just show how it trickles all the way down to our interpersonal relationships, right? So what?
Well, listen, let's try to do this. Let's just be simple. If you put all of your content in a portfolio and you pass it out to 100 men on a scale from 1 to 10, what is the percentage of the men that would want to read that? And
I don't know. Again, this is irrelevant to me. I mean, 98% of them would reject it.
I would say 8 to 9 out of 10 women are gonna reject it.
Women or men? Mine?
No, mine's. Women are gonna reject mine's. Men are gonna reject yours.
Yes.
So we have to understand that even though we are intentionally trying to speak to, you're intentionally trying to speak to men, and I'm intentionally trying to speak to women, the algorithm is not going to show that. The algorithm is going to tell you what your audience is.
But Darwin, why are you trying? That's the thing. This is the thing that always blows my mind about men. Why are you trying to speak to a group of people that you're not a part of? You are a man. Like that. This be the craziest shit about red pill content, right? Because most
Hold on. First of all, my content is not red pill.
It is to me.
Okay.
It is rooted in all red pill ideologies. All of it.
We'll see then, and that's fine. I think that your content is on the lines of pandering to women. But you think say that, but
hold on, wait. I'm not. That's what I'm saying, though. Pandering is disrespectful. I don't think me accurately identifying that what you're doing is rooted in misogyny, the pro-patriarchy, and red pill ideology is disrespectful. I think it's just a matter of fact. Now, if you want to say that my content on the flip side is rooted in feminism, then you will be correct because it is.
Well, if I gave you the definition of pandering, you probably wouldn't think it's respect. If the way I see it.
No.
I see pandering.
The definition of pandering.
Okay, the way I might have to read. I might have to change the word. Then. Yeah, but the way I think pandering is.
Hold on. Let me say. Okay.
The way I think pandering is.
I told you what it is already. Right. I literally just read you I know the definition of pandering almost verbatim. That's what I'm saying. I already gave you the definition of it. It is appealing to people's baser nature by essentially how do you appeal? Do you know what it means to appeal to a baser nature? Would be my question, first and foremost. And I'm not being facetious at all because that is kind of complicated. But to appeal to a person's baser nature is you're appealing to the bad part of them, to their more animalistic part, if you will, right? You're appealing to their baser nature. Cool. How do you appeal to a person's baser nature? By being honest, forthright, and challenging them. You won't, because most people, their baser nature, they don't want that. That's not what the baser
I'm sorry, I don't even see that term, the baser nature term. I do not see that in the definition.
Okay.
Maybe I should read the definition. It might be different than yours.
Okay.
So pandering means saying or doing things just to please someone, especially if it means lowering your own standards or values. It usually involves trying to win approval by telling people what they want to hear, even if it's not honest or disrespectful.
Go back. If you read that middle part, say that again. Read it all again. I'll tell you where you're saying the same thing. Go ahead.
Pandering means saying or doing things just to please someone, especially if it means lowering your own standards or values. It usually involves trying to win approval by telling people what they want to hear, even if it's not honest or respectful.
Yeah.
For example, someone might pander to an audience by pretending to agree with their opinions, even if they don't believe them, just to get likes, applause, or support. Yeah. So you actually believe your female audience, so you wouldn't be considered a pander. The panderer would be the one who don't believe it, but he's going to just showcase that he does because he's getting some, he's getting ad revenue or some shit like that. So I'll take that away.
And this is from the Oxford definition. This is why I like this one. So to pander is gratify or indulge an immoral or distasteful desire, need, or habit, or a person with such a desire. Newspapers, this is the example. This is where I got it from. Newspapers are pandering to people's baser instincts. That is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's in the example. So essentially, pandering is a negative. It is never a positive because either you are saying things just to get like you like likes, clicks, views, whatever, and you don't believe it. So you're being disingenuous, or you're saying things that are harmful so that you can appeal to people to get likes. Either way, it's a negative. That's what I'm saying. So when you say somebody is a panderer, by the definition, it is a negative, right? And that's why I don't go around just calling people panderers. When I say a person is a panderer, I'm going to articulate why I think you're a panderer. I'm going to say,
well, why do you think I'm red pill?
Because the things you're saying is rooted in misogyny.
What if it was rooted in what I actually experienced? The casework I do.
What you experience could be misogynistic, though. But your ideals, all your ideologies are rooted in misogyny. They're harmful to women and children.
And misogyny is that I hate women, right?
Misogyny is a disdain or hate. Yeah.
I don't have any disdain or hate women. If you look at all of the women in my life I associated with and even talked to, they would tell you that is inaccurate.
But that's not true. A, that's not, you don't get to speak for them. And B, you don't get to say that you don't have
they would tell you that.
I know, but you don't know that though, because we haven't spoken to them. But you don't have a disdain. You don't
What if I did you the honor, the luxury of bringing 8 of the women that I consult with?
No.
On a panel.
That's crazy. Wouldn't that be biased? Why would not bring me your 8 ex-girlfriends and let me talk to them? See what I'm saying?
8 ex-girlfriends.
I'm saying if you got 8, I don't got 8 ex-girlfriends, but that's what I'm saying. Why would I bring 8 women
they would they're gonna be like,
you ain't never been nothing but kind to me.
Oh yeah. 8 they wouldn't say that they probably wouldn't say that I wasn't nothing but kind, but they most definitely wouldn't say that I hate him or I wish ill will towards him.
Okay. Do you think that a white person could tell you they're not racist?
Do I think a white person can tell me that they are not racist?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Freedom of speech.
No. That's not what. Hold on.
Or do you think that? Are you saying that? Can they articulate it?
No. I'm saying, do you think, like, if you think a white person is racist and they say no,
I think they're racist. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now you added something.
You say a white person is racist. They say no, I'm not. Do they have does that make sense to you, or you're going to be like, well, you don't get this? Of course, you would say you're not racist. You don't even know, like, see what I'm saying? Like, why would I listen to the person that I'm accusing of being racist and them telling me they're not racist?
I mean, they could still say it regardless if
that's not what I'm asking. Hold on. But that's not what I'm asking you. I'm saying in this context, I'm saying if they say it, would you take it at face value? Like, okay, you're not racist, or would you be like,
no,
what are you talking about?
I think once they decline that, and again, we're talking about labeling people based off of our discernment. They do have the right to decline if they don't feel like it, but I also have the right to articulate why or explain why I think that they are racist, and if they accept it, is irrelevant.
But my point is that of course, a racist person is going to say they're not racist, correct?
No, I've known some that I went to school in Alabama
generally
that are called racist, and they embraced it.
I know, I got you. Generally speaking, most white people, if you call them racist, they're going to say
it's not a best practice to reveal that because of NSFW.
Exactly. And that's the same thing for misogyny. So I don't expect you to just openly admit, yep, I'm misogynistic. And also it wouldn't be.
Well, I don't have anything to lose. I don't have any credentials that's going to be taken away or anything.
Well,
do you know that I was misogynist and I was just embrace it. That, hey, look, I'm a misogynist. But I am Darwin McPherson. That's how I identify. I don't identify as a concept.
But wait, hold on, wait. Hey, if you identified as misogynistic, you would be openly identifying as having hatred or disdain for women, which may mess with your practice of helping.
It'll be a confliction because I have a wife. I love my mother.
No, that's not.
I love my nieces.
Again, not true. Many, I know there's racist white people on the plantation that had white babies. Racist white men have had black babies. That don't mean nothing.
Well, look.
Just because you're married to a woman doesn't mean you don't like her.
Everybody reserve the right to have their own understanding and discernment on what their perspective is and what they see, or the behavior patterns that they pick up, and they want to associate that with a particular concept. They have the right to do that. I'm not going to argue and debate that. But I will say, any woman who feel like that, I'd hate them. If I think if they spend enough time around me or around who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
and they would see otherwise.
Do you think most women that encounter your content think you hate them?
No.
You don't think that?
I don't think, no. Mm. I don't think they think I hate them. No.
I think they do. That's why you don't have majority female.
Well, you think that, but you asked me.
I mean,
what
logically, I'm saying.
No, I don't think they hate it. I think, honestly, I think the women who encounter my counter my content, it's as if they're looking in the mirror and like, oh god damn, I'm tired of fucking accountability, or I don't want to fix the issues that this guy's pointing out. Let me go watch somebody who's
issues though. What, Darwin?
Just put issues where X
I've
is.
consumed a good amount of your content. You have never articulated an actual issue that women are responsible for that they need to fix. Not one. Every single issue that men present, right? That red pill men present is like this. You need to choose better, ma'am. You make bad decisions in men. That's not a solution. Women making better choices is not a solution. That's a band-aid for a bullet wound. Right?
Are you 100% sure you've watched all of my content to be able to make that claim?
I didn't say I watched all of it. Okay, I said I've consumed a lot of your content, which I have. I would consider it to be a lot. I've consumed a lot of your content. I've been in your live, which you don't really talk that much in your lives, but still, I've been in your lives. I've listened to you talk a lot. Trust me, I'm not making this assumption, all willy-nilly. I'm telling you, you do not say I've never heard you articulate, and I'll give you the opportunity now. What do you want women to be held accountable for? Name an issue.
You would, in order for me to showcase that, you would have to give me the opportunity to speak to a woman and be able to showcase what I do to be able to substantiate. So we can substantiate whether I'm able to articulate any type of solution or any type of accountability that's being expressed. I would have to have, you have enough women on you have enough. I don't know if you got like hundreds of women in your chat. You can have one of them come up here right now and I can showcase that right now.
But it's not about an individual woman. You see what I'm saying? I'm saying, again, so I speak about men as a collective because I'm not talking to any individual men. I'm just talking about men, right? And the issues that men contribute to, perpetuate, create, so on and so forth, right? Like the whole broken home shit or whatever people like to talk about broken homes, right? Men abandon their children. Divorced men abandon their children almost like 50% of the time. Like when you actually break down the numbers, it's like 25% of the time they completely abandon the kid. Another 22, 23% of the time they see the kid once a week. Another 22, 23% of the time they see the kid twice a month. That to me is child abandonment. In my book, how I look at child abandonment. Your kid you need to be in your child life, not just on the weekends and not just once a month, right? I think that's crazy. That's neglectful. That is child abandonment. So when you add those three numbers up, most men end up after a divorce, end up abandoning their children. That is a problem that men are solely responsible for. Women have nothing to do with that whatsoever. If you abandon your child, that is your decision and your decision alone. I don't want to hear baby mama drama. I don't care about none of that shit. Parental alienation isn't real. I don't care about none of that, right? If you abandon your kid, you made the conscious decision to abandon your kid, and you do so every day you abandon your kid. It's not like you make that decision one time. You make the decision every day, because any day you can say, all right, today is the day I'm not going to abandon my child. I'm going to get back in my child's life. So you consciously make a decision every day to abandon your child until, in perpetuity, right? That is a problem that is perpetuated by men and almost men alone, because 85% of custodial parents are women, and the vast majority of women in relationships spend significantly more time raising the child than men do. So we know the women showing up. This is a problem that men need to solve. Can you give me something like that on the flip side for women? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do need some on the flip side. I actually did a video maybe 7 or 8 days ago. It's got almost 100,000 views on it. Mm-hmm. It was I did a experiment to see if women were going to say that it's on the man or it's actually a part of the kids' well-being as well. And this was paternity fraud. And we were trying to push mandatory DNA tests at birth, and the woman would actually march for unaliving of the child in the womb, but they would not march to accurately have the correct father documented on the birth certificate in the event that DNA test is accurately rendering results of who the father is. Which led me to believe that the women don't. And I asked, I said, well, y'all march for a lot of things. You march for gender non-conform and all this other stuff. Why won't you march for the kid to have the accurate father? That's the man's problem.
Okay.
Which means that they don't feel like they have any accountability in the issues as well.
They don't know. But okay, so
there we go.
What percentage?
So now when you just said they don't, can't you see how the fact that you want to speak to men, how that wouldn't resonate with the men that you're trying to attract to each other?
I know, but you're proving my point though. Here, I'm going to ask you this. So the thing that I brought up affects the majority of children. The thing you brought up affects what percentage of children? If you just take a wild
guess. If you did mandatory DNA tests, it would affect every 100% children.
It would.
Yes, it would. How? Mandatory DNA. Every child would be rest assured. Every woman, every man would be 100% sure that they have maternal and paternal.
Sir, Darwin, you know that you can go get your child tested anytime you want to, right?
I get that. I know where you're going with
that. We don't need mandatory testing. You could just go get your child tested. Now,
but you simply asked me who would it impact. And if it was mandatory, it would have been 100%.
Listen, okay. So let's do the numbers. Only 2% of people get tested for paternity a year. Only 2%. Of that 2%, 34% of the tests come back to be not the daddy, right? So even in those cases, even in only the 2% of people that actually say, hey man, we need to get tested for whatever reason, whether it be to get a kidney, to just, courts mandated, whatever, only 2% of the population in this country get tested for paternity, right? So, and out of that 2%, only about 35% of them come back to be not the father. Now, if that is the case, that means that the vast majority of people are not impacted by paternity or paternity fraud. That is what that means. And before people say, well, if everybody got tested, the numbers, let me tell you what would happen. If everybody got tested, Darwin, it would drop from 35% to 0.00001%, because of the 35 of the 2% of people that get tested, you have to ask yourself, what percentage of people deem it necessary to get tested in the first place? I have no reason to get my children tested, to get their paternity tested. If you want to, you're more than happy to go more than welcome to go do yours. I don't have any reason to doubt if my kids are mine, right? So I'm not, and most men don't. That's the point. If you go get a paternity test, more than likely it is because you have a suspicion or a reason, like I said, courts, health, or you have a reason. Oh, I think she cheated. The baby don't look like me. Whatever the case may be.
And that's the reason. And that's the whole point. It's not 100%. Not 100%. I'm sorry. Mandatory DNA test will literally remove all the nuances, any reason that you think that you might have. You think all that goes away. It just goes away.
Problem, though, brother.
It does not matter anymore for nobody. It's not a problem.
But a woman
it destroys.
A woman didn't create that problem, fam. That's the point. Even
what I'm saying is it no longer becomes a problem, period, for no one.
Hold on. I asked the question. I said, can you tell me an issue, an actual problem that women are responsible for? They're at the core.
I just told you one.
That's not a problem that women created.
It is a problem if a woman is being promiscuous to the point to where she cannot tell which one of the men are. If you put five men in the room with one woman and she had sex and got pregnant, she would not be able to tell which one of those are father outside of technology.
Yeah. Is that vice versa?
So the problem is the women are trying to move.
Is that paternity fault?
If she lies and said that, hey, look, he's the father.
If she lied, that could be considered fraud. But if she didn't, because the scenario you just gave, which is very common, she don't know who the baby is. Or I won't say very. Actually, I'm saying in those scenarios, she doesn't know. right?
The problem is she don't know. If a woman comes to it, if a woman in today's society, amidst all of the technology, all of the education on how to move, so you can prevent this, and still wind up in the situation where she don't know who the father is, it's a damn shame.
How does that hurt? And the thing is about this, even there's so many layers to this where it, at the end of the day, it shakes out to be, it doesn't even harm anybody, because even if I found out that my babies were my babies, I know, listen, if I found out that my babies were my babies, like biologically, because they would always be my babies no matter what. Even if, listen to what I'm saying.
What even if you found out one of them wasn't?
I wouldn't care. I would be mad at my wife. I would never do anything to my kids. They're still my kids.
What about your kid? How would that kid feel?
How would he know?
Oh,
you think I'm gonna tell him?
The fact that you gotta hold it from him lets us know that in lies the problem. The fact that you have to go to the degree to keep it from him says that there is a problem that exists. You should be able to be fully transparent about this matter with your children.
Okay, we are talking about, again.
Look, public defender. Let's put a pin in this.
Hold on, wait. I got a question for you. What is more prevalent? Men abandoning their children or paternity fraud?
P.O. Let's put a pin in this.
Oh, no, answer that question. Answer that question, brother.
That's fair. Let's start the topic off from that. We can do this again, bro. Okay. But I really got to go. I got my woman saying, we've been waiting on you, because we like to pray and have dinner at the same time.
All right, man.
All right, bro, man. I appreciate you, man. See you on the next.
Have a good night, man. Oh, man, that was fun. Let me read these last ones, man. Let me make sure I got them all. VV said, they're so obsessed with the woman's virginity, or girls, but yet they use, abuse, and cheat on the woman whose virginity they value so much. They just want to be the first to mark their territory. Facts. Real big facts, actually. VV said, they are so emotional. Every time you say a male does something bad, they get so emotionally triggered that they have to say women do it too. Weirdos. Unfortunately, that's also true. Jennifer says, more women get accused of cheating who aren't versus men who cheat who get a pass. Ain't that really the real for real? That's for real. Kat Ryan says, Scotland Yard have categorized men's violence to women and children as a terroristic threat. If y'all been listening to my last videos, I've been screaming for that to be a common practice in America. Every time a man hurts a child or a woman, it should be considered a terroristic threat, or it should be elevated to a hate crime without a doubt. It should be elevated to a hate crime without a doubt. Like, because there's no reason why do you need to hurt it? When do you need to hurt a child? When do you need to hurt a woman? If you're a man, it's stupid. VV said, hearing black males talk about a woman's market value is insane. It sounds very slave auction like. Shaking my head. Real spill. Like we on a damn auction block. Red to Muse said he changes the topic when he's losing his argument. Oh, man. Nisha said, notice how the women need no stipulation. The men need scenarios and what ifs. Exactly. Every single time. Anastasia Waring said, this is off topic, though. Virgin feels weird, especially as an asexual person. The fact it excludes all other sexual acts other than intercourse is really pervy to me. Also, this man is lost. Well said. Kat Ryan said, a man who preaches on dating without touching on safety of women and violence of men is a grifty panda snake oil salesman. Jesus Christ. That might be the one that's the one for tonight. We up here talking about dating, but we're not talking about safety for women. Exactly. I don't even talk about dating. I'm not a dating. I won't say I don't talk about dating, but I'm not a dating coach. I'm always talking about dating from the perspective of protecting women and the safety of women. Always. If you listen to one thing is for sure, two things for certain. If you listen to any of my content, when I talk about dating, I am almost exclusively talking about men need to prove that they're safe for women. That's pretty much what my whole thing is. That's the only advice that I give. Pay for the date, be nice, be kind, show up, don't be performative. If you don't, move around, leave that woman alone if you ain't the right person, whatever. That's all. But it's always rooted in the idea of protecting women and you being safe for that woman to be around every single fucking time. So if you are going to tout yourself as a dating coach, I'm gonna need you to do that. I'm going to need you to talk about the protection of women on dates and women being in close proximity to men. It should be all about that at its root. Let's do this safely, right? That should be what it's always about. That was a great one. AZ Kelly said, liar, liar. Oh, man. Ma, appreciate you. Ma said, his voice is what, quote, he gonna cry in the car, end quote, sounds like. Bond said, why he never checked on them kids? The fuck? Facts. He said his wife was right there. Y'all be killing me, man. Robin said, thank you, P.O., for making these manosphere talking points fold like a lawn chair in real time. Hey, that's what I do best. That's what I do best. What Pop say on Friday? That's my pleasure. That's my pleasure. I get pleasure out of that shit. PC said he not a teacher. He run from questions. Jesus Christ. Y'all clocked it. Akiku said, every woman I know that's been what some would consider quote unquote promiscuous are also SA survivors and don't say quote unquote no out of fear of being assaulted again. Yep. Happens often with women who are promiscuous. Men too. Men who are promiscuous, oftentimes they were, no, I won't say they were SA, but they were they had an unhealthy they had some exposure to unhealthy sexual practices early on, I would say, whether it be via porn or something like that. But hey, man, I appreciate y'all rocking out with me tonight, whatever, 620. Damn, what this motherfucker keep going? Shit, keep doing this, huh? There we go. We back in focus. No, there. Oh, man, we had a good time, man. See, that's why I like to keep the panel small. I don't like having a bunch of men up here because men are emotional. And the way I used to be able to have these conversations better. I think I got to get back into my mode of having them more often. But when I was going live every day, it was easier for me to have them. But now it's like, since I do them far less frequently, I'll be crashing out. I'll be getting upset. I ain't gonna even lie. My brain has been rewired from being gaslit for the last 3 years. That shit is suffering. So yeah, there's something going on. I need to unpack that offline. But yeah, if I could keep it relatively, low, light, and small, then I can handle it, I think, and I'll be good to go. I have been crashing out. I have been, yeah, absolutely. I have been. It's a natural reaction to being gaslit. It's a natural reaction to being gaslit for years. I'm sorry. I'll do better. We motherfucking tired, exactly. I am. I really am. Yeah. So it works both ways. Me limiting my lives to once a week is helping me heal up, but it's also kind of making it harder for me when I had the conversations because I'm so healed. You know what I mean? Like I'm like so like not used to it, and then I'll get back into it. I'm like, what the fuck? So it's all good. Appreciate you, Red. Yep, that is what women go through all the time. I know. That's why I made a video. I was just talking about that recently. How like I understand women better than I ever have. I don't understand women completely, obviously, but I understand women better than I've ever understood them in the last like 6 months to a year. I just been like, yeah, man. Yeah, man. Everything they saying. That's why I think that's why when I have these conversations, it's like so easy for me because I've been deprogrammed. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been deprogrammed. So I could pick up on all the little all the little shit they be saying that a lot of motherfuckers don't be catching. I be catching that shit. Cause I'm like, wait, that don't make no sense. Oh, that don't add up. Or why are you that don't, you know what I mean? A lot of people be letting that shit slide because they be still in the matrix and shit like that. But I'm out. I'm Neo in this bitch. I can see the matrix for what it is. Appreciate you, Front Porch Gardener. Hey, man, I hope y'all had a good time, man. Shout out to the tappers, yappers, and super chatters for real, for real. Shout out to the old subs and the new subs, the new members, the old members, all my mods, best mods, and the minutes, man. Are you not entertained? I hope y'all had a good night, man. We'll be back on next Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. West Coast shit, you know. West Coast is the best coast. With all due respect. Love y'all for real, though, man. I'm out of this thing.